Be great. Hello. Hello,
Yep.
everybody. Welcome in. Watch it on YouTube. We have some debates ready for you with some Trump supporters. In fact, our first Trump supporter is already on the live. Grayson, you told us you voted for Trump. Jerry, thank you for the motorcycle over on TikTok. That's the other platform where we're streaming right now to get the conversations. Grayson, tell us why. Tell us why you voted for Trump.
I kind of love him, first of all. Second of all,
Did you say you love him?
What was that?
Did you say that you love him?
Yes.
Okay, well, first of all, like, loving any politician is really strange, but especially rapist, fraudster, felon politicians.
Yeah, well, I mean, the grape thing's not true. But I mean, here's the thing, is that, okay, I don't love Trump. Trump's a good man, though. And I think he's what's best for this country. He has the better plan, better outlook, and I just trust him.
Okay, N3, I appreciate you for the glowing jellyfish. So we could have a conversation about how, yeah, it is true that Donald Trump is a rapist, but there's a couple other things that you brought up. They're saying he's a good man because he's a man with a very good plan. Tell us more about this good plan. Specifically, explain to us why you think that his economic policy was better than Kamala Harris's.
Yeah, sure. First of all, Kamala Harris didn't have an economic plan, so I don't know why you're saying that.
Oh, that's not
Second
true.
of all,
Don't lie.
yeah, I mean, the 60 Minutes interview proved that.
No, what proved that she had an economic plan was A, her debate with Donald Trump, some statements on the 60 Minutes interview, but most of all, KamalaHarris.com/issues, sir. She actually had more of an economic plan when compared to Trump because she knew how much her plan cost and she knew how she wanted to pay for it. Meanwhile, Donald Trump was throwing around a billion different ideas with a CBO saying it would cost like $8 trillion, and he never gave any insight insofar as how he'd pay for it. In fact, on the debate stage between J.D. Vance and Tim Walz, the moderator asked J.D. Vance how they're going to pay for his tax cuts, and he never gave a response. So if anything, she had more of a plan than Trump, and I could go over the specifics if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, no, Trump's plan was trickle-down economics. Essentially, it's how it's always been. That's how it was the last term. So
wait, but have you also heard him go to Congress and say just get rid of the IRS and replace it with tariffs? So seemingly he's like kind of ping pong in between plans. Or what about like the announcement that he wanted Congress to just cut out taxes for everybody making under $150,000 per year? That doesn't sound like trickle-down economics to me. That sounds pretty fucking far left, man. So I mean, his plans are just all over the place.
Which point do you want me to address first? You're making 1,000 different points, my friend.
Well, I mean, the one point that I just made was that Donald Trump has proposed like 3 separate, distinct, contradictory plans.
Yes. How did Trump run his tax cuts during his administration?
Yeah, like, I don't know, like the $1.9 trillion Tax Cuts and Jobs Act bill that didn't really do anything for the average American, only helped out the ultra wealthy and didn't grow our GDP or create any new jobs, that one.
Yeah, so, okay, let's be clear. Yeah, so, again, based historically off his last tax cuts, they benefit the rich, and I support that.
Okay, why?
Yeah, because trickle-down economics, even though it doesn't always work.
What is the goal of trickle-down economics, real quick?
Yeah, sure. So you give tax cuts to the ultra wealthy or people that have large corporations, and they then in return take these tax cuts and they can give more benefits, higher pay to people that work for them. Now, here's the thing. Large corporations are greedy historically. We know this, okay? But smaller businesses that still fall under this trickle-down actual plan, they would give their people raises. We saw examples of this in California, for example, where he gave a minimum wage or minimum salary increase to $75,000 for every single one of his employees when Trump instantiated his tax cuts.
Yeah, we could count the amount of companies that were able to pay their employees more because of Trump's tax cuts on like one or two hands. The issue with his tax cuts is that on the macro level, it led to no new business reinvestment, which meant it led to no like wage increases, more jobs, etc. And my source on this is from Brookings. Just look up Brookings. Tax Cuts and Jobs Act led to no new macro level business investment. And this is why I support just giving the tax cuts straight to the average American, because although under trickle-down economics, we'll be able to count a handful of companies like Costco and small businesses that did reinvest and gave more to their employees. I support tax cuts for 100 million American workers in that low and the middle class to ensure that everybody reaps the benefits, not just the lucky ones.
Hey, can I respond to you now?
Thank you, Galaxy. I appreciate that. Yeah, why were you shouting my name while I was speaking?
Oh, I like your name. It's Deanie Boy. I'll listen to it, okay? So here is the issue, okay? When you give these tax breaks to people such as the low and middle class, okay, one of two things happens. They hide the money away or they buy things that are not necessary. We saw this, for example, with the stimulus checks. When we gave stimulus checks to the people that fell in the bracket Not only did it not boost the economy because they put the money away, they went out and they bought things like televisions and Xbox Ones. As compared to giving a tax break to the ultra wealthy, they will then give it back to the people.
Okay.
Again, question for you. When the stimulus checks were
point.
given out, did it really boost the economy or did people hide it away?
Okay, so first of all, when you say hide it away, you mean putting it into savings. I want to make it incredibly clear that the average American either has no savings at all or saves like 0.2% of their income. Meanwhile, the average millionaire saves 20% of their income. So I don't think, one moment, that's coming straight from FRED. It is true. Thank you so much. I think that the average American does need more savings. And if you're going to get more money and put some of it in savings, it is a good thing that is going to promote and cultivate more consumer confidence since they're not living paycheck to paycheck, which is a good thing. And then the second claim that you made about them spending it on things such as like TVs and Xboxes, you understand that even when individuals got a stimulus check and spent it on TVs and Xboxes, that still boosted the economy. I just want to make that so incredibly clear. And then for the second point about you telling me that when you give these tax cuts to the billionaires running these large multinational conglomerates, that they're going to reinvest that, put it back into the earnings of their employees. That's false. I proved it false with a source from Brookings, which indicated that after the introduction of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, it led to no new macro level business investment, as well as it is the case that it only boosted the GDP by around $20 billion annually.
Sorry, 20, how much?
$20 billion annually.
Okay, so again, my argument, to be clear, when I first started was that it doesn't increase it on a macro level. I made it very clear that these large corporations, they're very typically greedy, so they don't really trickle down these actual things to their employees. But we do see on a micro level, and the thing is that the micro level is important here. Businesses like
Why?
Why what?
Why is it important?
Why is it? It's very important because the micro level you're referring to still put a lot of money into people's pockets.
No, it didn't, because if it put a lot of money in people's pockets, then we'd see that resembled on the macro scale.
The proposed tax cuts that you're actually advocating for the low and middle class, okay? How much money would that put into people's pockets each year for, let's say, the low working class, $20,000 to $30,000 a year?
Oh, I want to be able to give you the specifics.
I can tell you how much.
I want to be able to give you the specifics insofar as Kamala Harris's plan on how to benefit individuals making like $20,000 to $30,000 per year. I think that they'd be benefited by the $25,000 subsidy for first-time homebuyer buy newly developed properties. If individuals pay federal income tax at all, they'd be benefited via the tax credits for increases for families insofar as increases in the child tax credit, etc. But I think like the main benefit for like individuals making under $30,000 per year would be the $25,000 subsidy for new houses.
Wait. Are you okay? Wait. Let me address that point. I don't want to pivot here. The last thing you just said. Do you think a person in the low? You think a person in the low class? Let's say a single family, or a mom and a dad. Let's say they're both working, okay, and let's say they're in the low class. You think that a person that is making they're making $50,000 a year, they're going to buy a house in today's market? Are you insane?
I think that it's incredibly unlikely, but I can say that they just won't straight up pay any federal taxes. So the tax cuts won't benefit them at all. Meanwhile, at least there's a potentiality that individuals making like $30,000 a year could benefit from the $25,000 tax credit. So like when I say that's the main thing that's going to be benefiting individuals making like $15,000 per year, I say that because it's the only thing that could benefit them.
Okay, so let me teach you something about someone who bought their house in 2017. I bought my house in 2017.
Wait, I just want to clarify that you're listening to me. Could you repeat what I just said?
Yeah, you said that you're not arguing that people would be using it. You're saying that this subsidized $25,000 that's going to go to them would actually be an incentive for them to actually go out and then buy the house.
No, you weren't listening to me at all. Okay.
Yes, I was.
No, you weren't, because you completely misunderstood what I was saying. So if I repeat it, will you listen this time?
Go ahead, explain it again.
Great. So you asked me, well, what is the main benefit for individuals making like $15,000 per year living in poverty? And the reason I said the tax credit to buy a house, sorry, not the tax credit, the subsidy to buy a house, is because they won't benefit from any tax credits because they're not paying taxes. So it's the only thing that could benefit them. Tax cuts don't benefit people that make $15,000 per year because they don't fucking pay taxes, okay?
Yeah, I understand.
Right. But like the $25,000 subsidy for a house, that's something that could theoretically benefit them. Meanwhile, the tax cuts couldn't.
Yes, Dean, you're right. The person that's making under $15,000, they're going to pay a $1,500 a month mortgage payment. It benefits nobody in this category. If they're making under,
it benefits nobody. Wait, are you saying that individuals that don't make a lot of money can't wait? Just think about it this way.
Wait.
For instance, if you like fall into an inheritance and you somehow like have $300,000 in the bank because your dad died, but like you're still living in a very low income bracket, making like $20,000 per year, none of those tax cuts are going to benefit you, even from Kamala Harris, because you straight up just don't fucking pay taxes. But the $25,000 subsidy could theoretically benefit individuals in low income brackets just because they could still take advantage of it. Meanwhile, they wouldn't be able to take advantage of tax cuts at all. What are you not understanding about what I'm saying? You asked me what the main benefit was for individuals in low income brackets. That is the main benefit because it's the only benefit.
Okay, let me respond to this, okay? Yes, Dean. If a person stubs their toe and they get a insurance settlement and they happen to have $1 million in the bank because they stubbed their toe at a UPS store delivering the mail and they sue them, that person can then, you're right, use this subsidy even though they're in a low income bracket. However, this probably accounts for less than 1% of the people in this bracket.
Right, but what is reductions in taxes account for individuals that make $15,000 per year? 0% of people in that bracket because they don't fucking pay taxes.
Hey, listen, if you're making $15,000 a year or less, it's probably an individual that wasn't part of my argument. When I said low class, I meant people that are making probably 30 or less, not 15 or less. Okay. 15 or less is what a grandma.
So then as soon as we start inching into territory of individuals that can pay taxes, they're going to be benefited by things such as the child tax credit, etc. But let me make it this way.
Oh my God!
Because do you know who's going to be served worse? Have I ever worked a real job? Yeah, apart from the real job.
No, I'm not trying to make fun of you. I'm not trying to make fun of you. I know you make a lot of money doing this, and that's good. I'm saying, have you ever worked an actual job?
This is an actual job, but I've worked other jobs outside of this. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so you understand that what you're referring to, the 15,000 or less, is your typical grandma working at the card store for a part-time thing because they're bored.
I don't understand what.
So stop referring to the 15,000 or less. That's typically a person who's retired.
What are you saying? What?
I'm saying stop mentioning the 15,000 or less bracket. I'm not referring to that at all. I'm referring to people
individuals like making like incredibly like low income. Like, sure, like some individuals are going to fall into that category because they're retired. There's also going to be a lot of individuals that fall into that category making like federal minimum wage.
Who the fuck is getting paid federal minimum wage? Besides immigrants who are being mistreated.
How many fucking states are there where like their minimum wage is the federal minimum wage? I don't know. Wait. Did you just bring? Where the fuck do immigrants come from? Hey, how about this? Let me give you my argument. Okay, are you ready?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, individuals in low income brackets are royally fucked by Donald Trump's tax plan. So we have a study from the Institute on Taxation and Economics that indicate that anybody making under $395,000 per year is already fucked because of his tax plan that disproportionately favors the ultra wealthy and the imposition of his tariffs. But because the imposition of tariffs are regressively detrimental, meaning the less money you make, the more it impacts you, Donald Trump's economic policy takes money from poor people and gives it to rich people. In what fucking reality is that a smart plan? Because even if we consider like your idea of trickle-down economics saying they'll know how to spin it better, which is false, and I've given you good reason to believe so, such as the Brookings study that I indicated, and the very slow growth rate in our GDP caused by his original tax cuts, we can also say here that it absolutely destroys consumer confidence when we're taking more money out of the hands of the average American. They spend less money at these big companies, GDP growth slows, stock market crashes, and this isn't just a hypothetical. This has already happened. We've had the quickest free falls in the stock market since the 2008 recession, disproportionately because of the imposition of tariffs onto our allies, as well as we have places like the Atlanta Fed that have gone from projecting 4% growth in the American GDP in the first financial quarter of 2025 to a fucking 3% recess, all because we are fucking the average American. And you know who else that is bad for? The business owners. So even if you think that the business owners know how to spend their money the best, and I just accept that with no evidence, well then all of a sudden these business owners have less money to spend, so the economy is still fucked, even if we accept things that aren't true to be true that you've told us.
Okay, are you done, dude? By the way, I'm listening to what you're saying. Okay, so here's the problem, dude, is that you just said, well, you made a very, very insane statement there where you said that you said off of what I'm saying that these businesses know how to use their money or to reinvest it. Are you dumb? These are multi-billion-dollar companies. Some are multi-million-dollar companies. You're saying they don't know how to actually manage money? Stupid argument, first of all, okay? Number two.
I'm going to go and clarify because now you're giving me a red herring. You said that it's better to give the ultra wealthy all these tax cuts because they're better at spending money compared to the average American insofar as growing their company, paying their employees more, which is absolutely false. When we relate their ability to spend money, to reinvest it back into their company, to pay their employees more for humanitarian needs, we know that's not true. For the last time, I've said this 5 times already, and I'll just say it for a 6th time. After the introduction of Donald Trump's tax cuts during his first administration, we saw no new macro level business investment, which means these people are taking this money, they were spending it on yachts, they were spending it on their CEOs, they were spending it on their execs, and they were not spending this on reinvestment back into paying their employees more. Not to mention that higher corporate tax rates lead to more money being reinvested back into their businesses. Do you want to know why?
Why, Dean?
Because it's a fucking write-off that they don't pay taxes on. Think about it,
Yeah.
man. Think about it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give you an analogy so you can understand this. Imagine that every single Friday you buy 20 beers, okay? And you do this once a week per regular. It's your schedule. And you just drink as many of those beers as you feel like, and then you take the leftover beers and you put them in the fridge. Well, imagine one of these Fridays I come around and I'm like, Grayson, I'm gonna take 50% of all the beers you don't drink every Friday, okay? Are you gonna be incentivized to drink more beer or less beer?
Dean, I own a business. I know how tax write-offs work.
Are you going to answer my question?
You would obviously in this scenario, you would obviously put yourself in a situation where you have to pay less and drink more.
Right. You're going to drink more. You're going to put more of that beer back into your body, just like a higher corporate tax rate to a certain extent is going to cause businesses to put more of that revenue back into their employees, right? Now,
are you aware
of this? When we drop the amount, let's say I go from taking 50% of your beers to like, I don't know, none. Well, you're just going to be incentivized to leave more left over because, you know, there's no real downside for you experiencing that. You're just going to leave more of that money in the bank. You're going to leave more of that beer in the fridge for you to drink later, for you to spend on a fucking yacht later if you're a billionaire.
You know, can I teach you something? A little something. This is what I do as well in my business. Do you know what the number one thing that which you're not accounting for that most of these businesses actually do for tax write-offs?
What do you mean? Something I'm not accounting for? I was just explaining how higher corporate tax rates can lead to a higher level of business reinvestment, and this is proved via the Brookings study.
Okay, I'm asking you. Do you know what one of the largest things businesses do for actually tax write-offs?
It depends on the type of business.
Fine, I'll tell you what it is. They do non-taxable tax write-off donations to charities.
Okay, that's sure. That's something that business owners do to pay less in taxes.
Hey, listen. Let me finish, please. Okay, it is one of the largest things, okay, that these companies do. I do it myself. Okay, not even close to as much as these companies, but I do charity donations. Okay, because instead of me giving my money to the government, I give it to a charity. Okay, now listen. This is one reason for my argument that it's more beneficial to give this money to larger corporations, but there's many reasons that you're not listening to. So let me explain. The tax cuts that you're proposing, because in the beginning I was going to give you the answer, but you cut me off. It would put in the average American's pocket per year around an extra $400 to $500. And okay, this equates to around $30 to $40 a month. That's enough to buy a 12-pack of Fairground corn dogs. So what do you think makes more sense? Putting enough for a 12-pack of corn dogs in someone's bank per month, or giving the money to large corporations that in turn make more money, reinvest it into the actual business, give donations to charities, or they can actually give their workers raises, which a lot of these companies do that you're not accounting for.
Okay. Sir, I'm going to say it for a seventh and final time. If you do not listen to me and you do not address it, guess what I'm going to do?
You're going to kick me.
I am going to kick you.
That's
the
fine.
reason I'm going to kick you, if you don't listen to me for a seventh time, is because I've already said this 6 other times, and you haven't addressed it. You haven't taken account for it in your argument. You completely just ignored it, dodged it, and not responded to it. Are you ready?
I'll respond to it. I'm just saying you're advocating for corn dogs, a 12-pack a month.
I will get to the corn dogs, the 12-pack a month, at the end of my argument. But first,
Go
we
ahead.
need to address the misinformation that you just shared, that you've been sharing all stream. Are you ready?
You're going to say that there's evidence.
You told me that when we give tax cuts to the big companies, it grows the economy more. They reinvest back more into their businesses. Once again, that's wrong. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which cost $1.9 trillion, only led to a $6 billion per year increase in government revenue. My source on this...
You said $20 billion, by the way. You changed your numbers.
No, I didn't. Because earlier I said...
$20 billion?
No. Trinity, thank you so much for the galaxy. I said $20 billion increase in GDP. Now I'm saying $6 billion dollar increase in government revenue.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry.
Right.
Yep.
My source on this is going to be the macroeconomic impacts of the 2017 tax reform bill written by 2 Harvard economists, one right-leaning, one left-leaning, okay? It costs $1.9 trillion for a $6 billion return per year, okay? That is a terrible increase, right, in GDP as caused by tax cuts. Secondarily, we see no new macro-level business investment caused by giving the rich more money, okay? This study comes from Brookings. And when you continue to say that when we give the rich more, they'll reinvest back more into their business, you're saying like on average, as a median, When we give rich people more money in the American economy, the rich people take that money and they put it back into these businesses and they pay their employees more. It doesn't happen. Because when we speak on that average, if we speak on that median, on the national scale, we're looking at this through a macroeconomic lens and we don't see it. So stop repeating that tidbit of misinformation for the 7th and final time. Now, to go back to your first statement, you said, oh, well, these tax cuts would give people enough money to buy an extra corn dog. Okay, well, I'm going to need your source. And the reason I ask you for your source is because even when we just look at one fucking provision of Kamala Harris's tax plan, we already know that's false, such as the increases in the child tax credit. $5,000 per month for a newborn, $3,600 a month for anybody of the age from 2 to 5, and then $3,000 for anybody from the age of 5 to 17. It's not a fucking corn dog. Okay? And that's just looking at one provision of Kamala Harris's tax policy. So I will merely ask you to please give me your study, your evidence, your source to indicate that Kamala Harris's tax cuts would have just allowed the average American to have enough money to buy an extra fucking corn dog.
Okay, Dean. So listen, instead of me having to go pull a source, we're going to do elementary math together, okay?
Wait, but the elementary math would be on a fucking what, dude? What? The elementary math would be evaluating the impact of a $2.4 trillion tax bill with all the intricacies entailed, such as limiting the amount that individuals could pay out of pocket for private pharmaceuticals, giving Medicare greater renegotiated ability to buy pharmaceuticals from private companies for less, the implementation of increases in the child tax credit, the impact of the subsidy. That's not just elementary math. There is about a billion variables that need to be accounted for, and that is why I'm going to require a study from you to indicate that Kamala Harris's proposed tax cuts would have led to a very marginal increase in average income.
Yeah, sure. So listen, before even doing that, I'm just going to say one thing to you. We can really easily, you said it was $2 trillion, correct?
$2.4 trillion. I think that we saw like different estimates, like the longer our campaign went and the more they added to it.
Cool, $2 trillion. I can do this right now for you very easily. How much was the stimulus package for Trump's, I believe it went to how many Americans? It was only low class, middle class. That was it. I got it. It was $2 trillion for the first one. How much did each person get, Dean?
Okay.
And that was all money. That was all cash. It didn't account for anything.
So first of all,
very simple.
First of all, your claim that it went to only individuals in the low and middle class was false. Essentially,
it did. Are you dumb?
No, I'm not.
Google it, dude. Google it. You think that a person making $100,000 a year or $150,000 a year was getting? I think the cutoff was a family of two. I think it was like maybe they can make 55 each person, 55,000 each.
Okay, well, how about we just look into it? If you're right and I'm wrong, I'll accept that because I want to get to the meat on the bone.
It was low and middle class. It wasn't over. I think it was 110 combined family income was the max, I believe.
110 combined family income was max?
Yeah, each person can make. I think each member can make 55,000 max each person. It's low and middle class.
I appreciate you for the information, Lily. Thank you so much for the galaxy. So now to move on. Phenomenally, you said that. Oh well, when we look at the impacts of that, it only gave people like what, like $1,400? I don't know. Wait. According to some people in the chat, it was like 120 combined, 200K combined. Like that would just be like definitionally speaking,
each American,
the low and the middle class. But the low and middle class. I'll just accept what you're saying because I want to get to the meat on the bone here. Like I don't know like the in benefit per citizen because I was like fucking 14 and I wasn't paying attention to economics at the time.
It was $800 per person. It was $2 trillion.
Right. Do you want to know why you can't equivocate? Do you want to know why you can't equivocate between stimulus checks and tax cuts?
Oh yeah, because the tax cuts they are fully encompassing other things like the actual credits for the housing, things like that. It isn't just money. It actually makes my argument even stronger. You don't understand why? This is all money that went to people. It wasn't accounting for anything else.
So also this applies to everybody that would fall below this income threshold, not just like specific demographics of individuals, such as mothers of children or workers in the economy. It would apply to everybody. So I can't agree that you can equivocate between these two things, meaning that you'd have to provide me a study insofar as the per person benefit of her tax cuts. So please give it to me.
Wait, you don't understand my argument, do you? You lost.
No, I understand your argument. You're saying, oh, well, when we look at the stimulus checks, it only benefited people by like $1,000 for this $2 trillion. Listen to me. I'm explaining your argument to demonstrate that I do understand it. I would appreciate if you'd at least try to listen. Is that okay?
You're not listening. You don't understand it, my guy.
Okay. Well, while I'm trying to explain it, you interrupt me, you cut me off, and then you say that I don't understand. This is just a very weak fucking cope because I do understand and I'm still cooking, and you just want to silence me because I'm cooking. You lost.
You ain't cooking, buddy. You can't cook steak. You can't cook me. Trust me.
I can cook steak, and I am cooking. You're wrong about everything. No wonder you're MAGA. Holy shit, you're so outside of my acquainted with reality.
Go ahead. Give me my argument, please.
Yeah, you're saying when we look at the stimulus checks under like Trump's administration at $2 trillion, it only ended up benefiting individuals to like $1,000. So if we were to look at $2.4 trillion invested in tax cuts, the per person benefit would be very low. So I understand what you're saying. The reason we can equivocate between stimulus and tax cuts is because the stimulus is going to apply to literally everybody, every American making below like this particular income level that isn't claimed as a dependent, meaning it's going to apply to a significantly larger demographic than tax cuts, because tax cuts only apply to workers that are making enough money to pay taxes. And then secondarily, it is the case that this would, not hyperfixate on like certain demographics, such as the very special benefit that only parents of children would benefit off of something such as the child tax credit. Now, additionally, I would also like to say that even if we accept that Kamala Harris's benefit for the average American would be very marginal, I'd say a marginal benefit for the average American is much better than a severe detriment. Okay, because remember that Donald Trump's tax cuts serve as a detriment to everybody making under $395,000 per year per the Institute of Economics and Taxation, as well as it hurts you more the less money you make. Okay? And one negative implication here is obviously the average American and low-income Americans having less money at a time where our current levels of income inequity is literally what France experienced before the French Revolution. But we also have to factor in what this does for consumer confidence and how much money people are spending. It really hurts consumer confidence when you're taking more money away from the average American and poor Americans. Why?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. This is a whole different
I'm almost done.
Go ahead.
Right, and what that leads to is slow GDP growth, which hurts everybody, even the business owners. Look at the Atlantis Fed projections insofar as GDP growth for the first financial quarter of 2025, and then concede.
All right, great. So just for clarification, I don't know if you didn't take your ADHD medication today. What I was actually responding to
of course. Now you've lost the debate. Oh, yeah. So Dean's right there for his ADHD. Also, not to mention, I have a question. How much of the $2 trillion investment into the CARES Act was spent on stimulus checks?
Wait, listen, that's a whole different conversation. I wanted to say something before you pivot. You know what I'm going to say.
Wait, that's not a pivot. That's not a fucking pivot. It
is a pivot.
No, that's directly that is directly responding to your argument. You said that there was $2 trillion invested in the stimulus bills. No, it was fucking $271 billion for the stimmy checks.
Wait, the stimmy checks were 271. What else was the rest of it?
I don't care what the rest of it was for, because you were addressing the stimmy checks.
It was PPP loans for small businesses to help them get on their feet. It was all encompassing. My argument is not that part of it. But anyway, Dean, let's be clear. I was responding to your claim that you said, give me proof that it only is going to put this much money in people's pockets. I was responding to that till you pivoted away.
Yeah, well, once again, that's not proof. You cannot equivocate between $271 billion for stimmy checks and then $2.4 trillion for tax cuts.
Yes, Dean. Okay, fine. Every American.
So then give me a source specifically about the per person benefit that was projected caused by Kamala Harris's tax cuts.
Oh, so the per person actual. I would argue. Let's see. Did she ever release that part of it or no?
Yeah, she released her projections for tax cuts, in which then institutions can take and run projected benefits or detriments.
So tell us the number. What's all this for?
Wait, why would I tell you the number? You're the one making a claim about it. You're the one saying that it would only be enough money to buy the average American an extra fucking pack of hot dogs. So please give me a study that would indicate the per person benefit caused by the projection of Kamala Harris's tax cuts.
I was advocating for fucking people to have an extra $50 a month.
Yeah. Please give me a single study of her proposed tax cuts that would indicate that this would only give the average American enough money to buy some fucking corn dogs.
Yeah, a 12-pack, dude, $50 a month. I mean, it's basic math.
There's a source that it only benefits people with $50 per month.
Basic math, dude.
Basic math equivocating between $271 billion for fucking stimulus checks and $2.4 trillion for tax cuts. You can't equivocate between those two things. You're so anti-intellectualist. No, that's so unfair. Dude, you understand that, like, there is a factor of 8. There's a factor of 8 between $271 billion and $2 trillion. If we were to accept that there's basic math and Donald Trump's stimulus checks are 1-for-1 insofar as the savings for the average American as tax cuts from Kamala Harris would be, if we just factor in how much he spent on the stimmy checks of $271 billion
Are you trying to
into
use the argument in your
$2.4
favor
trillion.
now?
Well,
That you're using it in your
I can
favor?
take your logic and use it in my favor.
Are you
That's going to be
insane?
over $9,000 per average resident.
Wait, no. It would be 800 times 5, which would be 4,500. But that isn't taken into consideration that other people got the PPP loans and the small business loans for their businesses.
The loans don't matter. We're talking just about the stimulus checks. That's what you said.
Again, but the first check was for 500. The second was for 800. And it was $2 trillion and 300 billion of it went to that.
500. So 200 billion for 500.
No, it was
like fucking 9. All of a sudden they get like $4,500, $5,000 in the bank per average citizen caused by your tax
I just don't
cuts.
understand how you're going to argue that a person making $25,000 a year is going to get a tax cut of almost 1/5 of their entire or 1/4 of their entire income.
Fucking precisely. This is why I made the argument. Because it makes no goddamn sense to say that we could just take the per person savings caused by Donald Trump's stimulus checks, multiply that by a factor of 8 or 9 to account for the same amount of spending that we'd see by Kamala Harris on her tax cuts, and we'd be able to use this quote unquote basic math to see what savings her tax cuts would yield for the average American. You are now discrediting your own logic because you're the one saying that we cannot equivocate between Donald Trump's stimulus checks and Kamala Harris's tax cuts. Thank you for falling straight into my fucking point. Now, if you want to say that her tax cuts wouldn't have saved the average American much money, please give me just like, I don't know, a source for a study that ran projections on her proposed policy. Will that work?
The reality is you don't have it either, but okay.
Yeah, I don't need to have a source for a claim I'm not making, silly goose.
You brought this in the conversation first.
Are you really trying to way to frame this No. Are you really trying to way to frame this conversation? Are you really trying to frame this conversation in a way that I have to provide evidence for your claim?
No, but you started the conversation.
So you have to provide evidence for your claim. Thank you so much. Give me a study from an institute on taxation and economics that demonstrate that the per person savings for the average American caused by Kamala Harris's tax cuts, which is give them enough money to buy some extra corn dogs.
Oh, actually, one second. My son just got home.
Of course.
So,
there's something you got to do.
Yeah, I'm running. My son's, he's right here. Have a conversation.
I'm not going to have a conversation with your son.
All right, come on, buddy. Let's go. Yeah, he just got home, so I have to go with him, man. But good conversation.
Fucking course. Of course, bro. Yeah, yeah. Go take care of this son. Go take care of this son, man. We're going to go to get that next guest up in here. Wow, he came out of the gate swinging.
Hello.
Hi, how old are you?
I'm 19 years old.
I think that you are a fetus, so we're going to move on. But we got a couple people to thank for the donos real quick. If you would just kind of give me a minute here, you guys, while we get that next guest up on the live. By the way, please make sure that we're double tapping on that phone screen. I would really like to... Oh, my God. Yo, Sid, thank you so much for the $100 super chat over on YouTube. Thank you so much for the love, Sid. Everybody, please show some love to Sid down below in that comment section literally right now. Thank you so much, Sid. I want to see 1,000 W Sids down below, y'all. 1,000 W Sids. Sid says, you always do, but I don't know what's going on lately because you have been cooking every single debate like crazy. Just now notice it's because... even my MAGA dad refuses to make fun of you anymore. You deserve all of the support you get, Dean. Dude, Sid, that is so incredibly kind of you. I don't know. I feel like I kind of go through waves. Some days I cook, some days I'm not cooking that much. But anyways, yeah, I feel like I cooked in that conversation. I do really appreciate you for the love. At least 1,000 W's for Sid, as well as 1,000 W's for Charlie with 100 pounds over on YouTube Super Chat. Holy fucking shit, Charlie. Charlie says, hope your girlfriend had a good birthday. As always, thank you for everything that you do. You have the patience of a saint. Charlie, that is so kind of you. I appreciate you for being in here. You're here every single day. So are you, Sid. I want everybody to show some love to Sid and Charlie in both of the live chats literally right now. Nothing but love for Sid and Charlie. What is up, Guitar Boy? Did you vote for Trump?
Chase Oliver.
Okay. Did you vote
How's
for
your
Trump?
butt buddy Harry doing?
I'm going to go and assume that means that you didn't vote for Trump. So we're going to move on to the next guest. Everyone, we got Paige loading up onto the live. Veronica, thank you for the $15 over on PayPal. Everyone, please show some love to Veronica. Same thing with Kate with the 24 Canadian dollars. Thank you, Kate. Huge love to Kate and Veronica. Then also Jennifer and Ashlyn with the 10 and the 5. Thank you, Jennifer and Ashlyn. Go ahead and spam Maggot down below in that chat if you do want to come up and join in debate, y'all. Shauna, thank you for the $10 over on Venmo. Thank you so much, Shauna. Everybody, please show some love to Shauna. And then Hannah with the $20. Thank you, Hannah and Shauna. You guys are incredible. Thank you, Hannah and Shauna. What is going on? Haley, did you vote for Trump?
Absolutely not, Dean.
All right. Well,
Absolutely
we are just looking at the
not.
debate people that did. I do apologize. Guys, please stay out of that queue unless you voted for Trump, y'all. Please, 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 please. We got the next guest loading up. Ryan Jones into the live right now. Yo, 6K, thank you for the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat. Julie with a 5, Destiny with a 2, and then Megan with a 10. You guys are awesome. What is going on, Ryan? Did you vote for Trump?
Yes, sir, I did.
And why is that?
Uh, a lot of reasons: energy independence, economic values, nationalism over globalism. It results over being politically correct.
Energy independence. I have a question. Were we more energy independent under Biden and Harris or Trump?
We were more energy independent under Biden and Harris, but it wasn't because of Biden and Harris, because we can't attribute everything to the incumbent president, because everybody knows that Trump is the one that made all those deals, invested in the technology like horizontal fracking, and if you know anything about the oil industry, a lot of
Wait,
the
Ryan, have you been
deals
on the
are,
live before?
of course,
Okay.
because
I only talk to people once. I do appreciate you for coming up. We're going to move on to the next guest. We got Poppy loaded into the live. Here we go. Yeah, guys, attribute everything under Biden and Harris's administration that was good to Trump, and attribute everything under Biden and Harris's administration that was bad to Biden and Harris. Let's fucking go, dude. Hell yeah. We got the next guest loading up here right now. What's
Hello?
going on, Poppy? How old are you? Okay, that's a kid. Caden, thank you for the $10 over on the YouTube super chat. Saying KADYN with the $10. Yeah, guys, everyone, let the Trump supporters grow and run rampant with the reason, with the speculation insofar as why I kicked the last guest. You know, I kick every single person that I've already talked to if they come up again. I only talk to one person one time because we have hundreds and sometimes thousands of people that I want to get around to speak with. And that's been a rule since I started going live, and it will be a rule until I stop going live. Mandy, thank you for the gold mine. What's up, Rocco? Did he vote for Trump?
Rocco, what's up, bro? Yes, I did.
And why is that?
Number one, the complete lack of common sense in all of the United States foreign and domestic policies, a decline in our ability to control the affairs in the world.
Are you talking about Trump?
Border, yeah, immigration policy.
Wait, so you're shitting on his policy, saying that it's just terrible with no common sense whatsoever? What?
No, I'm saying he had common sense, has common sense.
Oh, are you saying like under the Biden-Harris administration, really bad foreign domestic policy, etc.?
Yeah, so the United
States.
States.
Let me just ask you a question. What's one bad domestic policy they passed?
The idea that we should allow millions of illegal immigrants into the country per year.
That's not a policy, man. Give me a policy.
The end of the return to Mexico policy.
Okay.
Remain in Mexico.
Also not a fucking policy. But okay, we could talk about the termination of the remain in Mexico. That's fine. What's a policy that they passed that you didn't like, though?
How does that not count as a policy?
Because it was revoking an executive order. A policy is something passed through Congress and signed into law, or an executive order signed into law. Revoking an executive order is not a policy. But we could still talk about it. But before we do, I just want you to name a policy. How about just like, I specified one bad domestic policy they passed. Could you just name one bad policy in general that they passed?
We can talk about foreign policy all day.
What's one bad foreign policy they passed?
Allowing a war in Ukraine to
Not
continue.
a policy. I want a policy.
What do you define as a policy?
A bill passed through Congress and signed into law, or an executive order drafted and signed by the President of the United States of America.
That would be a bill or an executive order. Policy is the overarching direction that a administration takes.
Okay, then I'll be hyper specific just to serve to you and your silly definitions of these words.
My silly definition.
What is one bill passed through Congress and signed into law by Biden and Harris that was bad? Or one executive order that was passed by Biden that was bad?
Allowing transgenders into the military, or allowing them to have surgery.
We cannot talk about trans individuals on the live. But there was also no fucking policy passed about trans individuals under the Biden-Harris administration. You're going to make me fucking explode. Oh. I mean, just try again. Just don't talk about trans individuals. The live will get taken down. Please, bro. Try again, bro. Try again. If you want to just drop the whole policy thing, let me know. I'm down. You got to click on your profile picture and click the icon of the mic. Go for it. Please do it. I'm sorry. I'm being a little bit short fused today. Let me regain composure and patience. Rocco, you got to unmute that mic for me, man. Go ahead and click on that little profile picture. Click the icon of the mic. There you go. All right. I've regained my patience. So, Rocco, I will ask you one last time.
Okay.
You told me that they had bad policy that was devoid of common sense. So I'm merely asking you to name a single Biden and Harris policy built through Congress or EO into law that you thought was bad. If you can't do that, let me know and we can talk about something else, sir. I want to be here to serve you and your reasons why you voted for Trump. And if policy wasn't one of them, we can move on.
The ending of the majority of federal leases on new energy resource development, majority oil reserves, like oil fields and whatnot. And that's what led to the decline of our energy independence.
Great. There was a claim that's wrong because they actually approved 50% more permits for drilling on federal land compared to Trump's administration. And under the Biden-Harris administration, we produce more oil than we ever has as a country, even when compared to Trump's. My evidence for this would be coming from the EIA, the Energy Information Administration, where you could see a very visual and engaging graph of the oil produced in America, crude oil, and you'll see how we produce significantly more under Biden and Harris compared to Trump's.
That's a flat-faced lie.
How much do you want to bet?
Doug.
Bossy, thank you so much for the Night Star. I'm being serious. How much money do you want to bet? If it's a bold-faced lie, here's your opportunity to make some fucking money, dude.
It is not literally this simple, but the first indication that we lost energy independence is the fact that gas prices.
I asked you how much money you want to bet.
I'm not betting money. I'm telling you.
Okay, why don't you want to bet money if I'm just telling you a bold-faced lie? I bet you $100
So,
that it's not.
Number one, on the federal leases, this is the game that we play. They were signing more federal leases, but these were leases on land that couldn't be developed as profitably as the more, how should I put it, just easily profitable oil reserves.
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you the exact figures here to combat the fact that you said I was giving you a bold-faced lie. So I said that there's more crude oil produced in America under Biden and Harris compared to Trump's first term. So the most oil that we ever produced under Donald Trump's first term was in November of 2019
correct, when we achieved energy
independence. Nearly 13,000 barrels of oil per day. To be more specific, it was 12,994,000 barrels of oil per day. Meanwhile, under the Biden-Harris administration, in December of 2023, our country produced 13.3 thousand barrels of oil per day. And we were actually able to reach over 13,000 for multiple months. In February of 2024, 13.1 thousand. March of 2024, 13.2 thousand. April of 2024, 13.3 thousand. May of 2024, 13.2 thousand. June of 2024, 13.3 thousand. July of 2024,
okay,
13.2
I think we've got the point.
In August of 2024, 13.4 thousand. September of 2024, 13.1 thousand. October of 2024, 13.5 thousand. November of 2024, 13.4 thousand. December of 2024, 13.5 thousand. In fact, we were able to produce more oil in America for over a year under the Biden-Harris administration, comparing to 1 month under Donald Trump's administration.
So, number one, we factually are not energy independent currently. So our energy requirements are continuing to increase. Number two, that was a massive correction to the previous 3 years of their administration. It is a fact that they froze federal leases on lands in the vast majority of cases for minimum 2 years. They killed the Keystone Pipeline project, which made no sense since it was already completed and only would have lowered gas prices. So we can talk about, we're producing more oil, yet the cost of oil is not decreasing. And that's because the demand for energy is still higher than what is being produced.
I need to correct you. Under the Biden-Harris administration, month by month, we only produced more and more oil each month. Okay, they entered in to the presidency after oil production had been shut down in 2020 because of the pandemic. Under Trump, by the way, and then they just continually increased production more and more and more and more. The reason why
It was not a conscious
gas
choice
prices,
by Trump.
the reason why gas prices were high under Biden and Harris's administration had nothing to do with Biden, had nothing to do with Harris, and in fact had nothing to do with America because, you know, you're an educated guy, you'll know that oil is a global market and we had complete recesses in global production. One reason why is Trump brokered a deal with OPEC to reduce their production by 10% before he left office. A second reason why was because of our sanctions on Russian oil that cut the global supply by a bit. So our
Are you
country was doing
suggesting that we
very
should be
good.
buying more oil from Saudi Arabia?
Am I suggesting that? I never made any type of like, I never suggested anything. I'm just telling you the fact that the Biden-Harris administration did very well with the domestic oil market. But the reason we had like still yet high gas prices was because of the global oil market. Secondarily, we actually imported less oil under the Biden-Harris administration compared to Trump's. So if you think that we should be more reliant on our domestic production, Biden and Harris were the people for the job. And then third point here, you said that they shut down the Keystone Pipeline that increases prices. The Keystone Pipeline has nothing to do with the conversation about domestic production of oil because that imported fucking oil from Canada, and it was shut down because of a Supreme Court order as it ingressed upon indigenous lands. And it was also shut down temporarily under Donald Trump's administration in 2017 and 2018. And if you think that stopping Canadian imports of oil is bad for how much money we pay for gas, I'm guessing that you very vehemently disagree with Donald Trump's 10% tariffs on Canadian oil because that also reduces the amount of Canadian oil that we get.
First, to address the Canada question at the end, that's geopolitical and we can get into that. But as far as the actual pipeline, the pipeline was a joint Canadian-American project, which was for energy.
That imported Canadian energy into America.
And that is fine.
And also, no, it wasn't joint. It was owned by a Canadian company. You could read that on KeystoneXL.com.
There were American companies helping the construction on the American side.
Right, but joint means joint ownership. It was Canadian ownership.
No, I didn't say joint owned, but that's a nitpick. Okay, yes. So the pipeline still is the most cheap way to move oil from one place to another. And that very factually would have at the time contributed to good lower prices on
but it was
gas
unconstitutional.
in some areas.
Dude,
it was not unconstitutional.
Yes, yeah, that's what a Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled that it's ingressment upon indigenous lands without the consent of the indigenous tribes violates the Constitution. It was an order from the Supreme Court. And then also, just relating back to my point, if Canadian oil into America is good, tell me that Orange Man bad for tariffing Canadian oil, which reduces their exports to us. Say Orange Man bad. Say it. Say Orange Man bad for reducing Canadian imports.
No.
Wait, okay. So Biden bad when Biden reduces Canadian imports, but Trump not bad when Trump reduces Canadian imports. Are you a member of a cult?
The Keystone Pipeline is a hyper-specific project, which is now dead and 4 years in the past. And our current geopolitical, standing in the world, what Trump is trying to do is assert American economic dominance, and it's going to work.
Okay. It's going to work, says the guy standing in front of the quickest free falls in the U.S. stock market since 2008. The guy standing in front of a projection from the Atlanta Fed of a 3% recess.
So
GDP
everyone expected economic decline in the short term, but what we're doing is a complete readjustment to the economy, and this isn't the first time. And it probably won't be the last time we use tariffs to bring production back to the market, to bring a more equitable trading, what am I trying to say?
Yo, are you like a socialist?
No.
Then why?
Uh,
Wait, because you're saying that we should advocate for market restrictions to bring about more equity in the marketplace.
Tariffs
Is
are
it? Is it?
tariffs
Is
aren't
it?
domestic
Are
market
you
restrictions. Tariffs
are
coin.
you one of those commies? Are you a communist, man?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Sorry.
So equitable tariffs is just I'm sure you know what that means. The European
I know what a
Union.
tariff is. I don't know what equitable tariffs are.
Well, it's just the idea of, okay, you're charging 25% for X product. We're going to charge 25% for X product.
Not a good plan. Terrible plan. You want to know
Why?
why? Because every time we increase tariffs in other countries, they just increase them on us. A good example of this would be the tariffs that Donald Trump put on China under his administration in 18 or 19. China just increased tariffs back on us in a reciprocal fashion, and then our soybean exports, our agricultural exports, went to shit, and American farmers went bankrupt. Retaliatory tariffs never work to get other countries to reduce their tariffs on us, and that's just an empirical fact.
They gave billions in subsidies to American farmers.
Yeah, because Donald Trump had put shit on the wall by bankrupting them, so then he had to pass the farm bill to bail them out, which, good for
Dude.
him, but I just wish he didn't create the issue in the first place. Can you please give me one example of the U.S. imposing tariffs on China that hasn't led to a reduction in U.S. agricultural exports because of counter tariffs from China?
Sorry, what'd you say?
Give me one example of these reciprocal tariffs working. Give me one example of us increasing tariffs on China that led to them decreasing tariffs on us.
This is happening in real time, dude. We're not talking about 2016. We're talking about 2024.
We've been in trade wars with China forever. Just give me one example of this historically working. We obviously don't have the empirical data to suggest it's working now. So how about we look at one point in history where it's worked?
How about we talk about the Embargo Act and the fact that massively benefited the American economy in the long run?
No, I want to talk about one time where we've imposed these counter tariffs on another country in hopes that they would reduce tariffs on us where it's worked. Just give me one example of us imposing tariffs on China where they've then reduced tariffs on us. Because as far as I'm concerned, when we look at the data, every single time America has increased tariffs on China, our domestic agricultural exports have plummeted because they increased tariffs on us. Obviously, what this tells us is that these equitable counter tariffs are not good for the American economy. What a good way to manage other countries that have tariffs implemented on us is to create trade deals with them. Yeah, diplomacy over tariffs is a great way to reduce restrictions on trade imposed in America by other countries.
Can't happen until you've talked them down.
What did Donald Trump do under his first term? Are you denying that Donald Trump was able to broker the USMCA, which reduced tariffs between America, Canada, and Mexico? Or what about the TPP that he pulled out of between like 13 big players on the global stage, specifically designed to reduce tariffs to promote the globalization of commerce? This happens all the time.
The TPP was a terrible trade deal. The TPP was a terrible trade deal.
Yeah, name one economist that agrees with you.
Dog. Okay, number one, we're not just going to fall back on name this guy or name that guy. But I will say economics is a very hard to, it's not a science is what I'm trying to say. And I'm sure you know that too. And we could go around like this all day, but you can easily find economists, if you look it up, that will say that the TPP was not a good idea.
The overwhelming amount of economists really support trade agreements between countries to reduce tariffs because they're just good for commerce.
Yeah, that's because the modern paradigm in economics and the legacy media has just been to propel, America into the global market. It's just globalism, and we're
being in the global market is a very good thing. That is a very good thing because it allows for a comparative advantage in the manufacturing sector in our country, and in others to exist. We get to produce the
can
goods
be, but the
that we are
largest
efficient at
economy in the
producing,
world
and other
can
countries
also
get to produce
afford
the
to
goods
purchase
that
goods.
they're efficient at producing. And when we limit the globalization of commerce and we force producers in America to make all these goods, even when they're not as good at it as other countries are, what happens is that inefficiencies are created. The price of goods goes up. The purchasing power of the average American goes down, and the American economy suffers.
So, again, the tariffs are going to cause an adjustment period, and it's probably going to take a year, maybe two, for things to actually, stabilize and for the market to reliably begin growing again, and above 2%.
According to
Let's
who?
say.
Like, why
I'm
do so
sorry.
many Trump supporters think that tariffs are going to
Am
have
I
good
asking
impacts
you
in the long term?
according to who constantly? We're having a discourse right now.
Well, I mean, like, why do you think tariffs are good in the long term? I don't think I've ever had any Trump supporter actually explain to me why they're good in the long term. They just kind of say
Because they benefit domestic production, dude.
How?
The
So how
entire
are they good in
reason-
the long term? How are they good in the long term?
The entire
Increasing
reason that
domestic
Trump
production?
threw out the TPP and the entire reason that he renegotiated the free trade agreement for North America and to the USMCA, which has now been thrown out.
Wait, did you agree with the USMCA?
It was a step in the right direction from the original trade agreement.
I want to clarify that the USMCA reduced tariffs. You're saying that a reduction in tariffs was a step in the right direction. Now you look insane.
The goal of tariffs.
Now you look hypocritical. Now I'm sitting over here asking myself, what the fuck is this guy saying? Because I guess when Trump reduces tariffs, it's a step in the right direction. But when Trump increases tariffs, it's also a step in the right direction. What the fuck?
I don't think you understand the point of this doctrine. Like,
I don't understand whatever you're saying, because you're saying that it is a step in the right direction to reduce tariffs and to increase tariffs on the same country, on the same goods, at the same percent simultaneously. That doesn't make sense.
we already had free trade in North America. The USMCA renegotiated it.
They made it freer.
And yeah, because Canada and Mexico were actually still placing tariffs on our products. But
It reduced tariffs. And by the way, Canada only tariffs 1% of imports from our country.
well, that's fine. We're going to see how it pans out.
I have a
but
question. What
again-
percentage of goods
No,
do we
hold
tariff
on.
imported from Canada?
No. I asked you about the
Doesn't wanna
doctrine.
answer that.
I want to explain to
Doesn't
you
wanna
the
answer that.
actual. I want to explain to you the actual intention of this.
No.
So some of these tariffs are going to go into effect, but it's about giving them the big stick. Like, every country right now that does not go along with the foreign policy of the United States has the imminent threat of 25% tariffs on them. And we've already seen him back off of tariffs on some of these countries. Tariffs are a good thing because they help bring domestic production back to the United States and discourage too much of the market, being controlled by foreign companies, yada, yada.
Yeah, hey,
But-
I'm just going to go ahead and posit this idea real quick. Let's just assume isolationism is a good thing and we need a stronger manufacturing sector in our country. There's significantly better ways to go about it than imposing tariffs on our allies that makes tariffs look insane. Like, for instance, if we just merely invested in the manufacturing sector of our country and promoted and cultivated an economy where our government was incentivizing our producers to invest more into their productive capacities to make more goods for cheaper, well, then American produced goods would be more competitive in the marketplace without tariffs because they cost less money and they're no longer priced out of the markets. Okay? And that increases domestic production in the long term without causing a recession now, without causing inflation now, without destroying relations with our allies now. It is objectively the better way to achieve the goal that you think tariffs will do in 2 years, right? So, and like
Our
the argument
allies-
here
our
is
allies place
because
tariffs on us.
there is an alternative to tariffs that are better for a country right now and in the long term. Seemingly, tariffs are bad.
Our allies are tariffing us. It's sometimes out the ass, and what we're going to
And
have
we need
again
to
is a complete realignment.
we need to be able to resolve any tariffs that other countries have on us with use of diplomatic behaviors, not with counter tariffs, because counter tariffs don't work. And I've already proved that by pointing out the fact that every time we've increased tariffs on China, they've increased tariffs on us. Not to
If
mention
we
that our
weren't the
allies
largest,
are
if we were
very,
not the
very, very,
largest
very
economy,
willing to meet trade agreements with America. And I bet that the USMCA is a really good, point to prove my point.
No, some of these tariffs are never going to go into effect. The overarching intention of our current foreign policy, especially as it relates to our economic policy, is to reestablish American dominance.
Dude,
we have been
fucking
giving
AI
him-
robot. You AI robot. I've already responded to this all. You don't address what I say, and then you repeat your claim. How about you actually counter my arguments? I just explained this all to you, and you're just repeating the same thing. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and break it down. Okay.
Breathe.
American dominance in manufacturing can better be achieved by investing in our manufacturers, giving them subsidies to make more goods for cheaper so our goods are naturally priced back into the marketplace and our consumers are more reliant on our producers. That point that you made, dead in the water. Tariffs are bad because there's a better relevant alternative. Second point, that we want to reduce tariffs that other countries have imposed on us. Us imposing tariffs on them won't do that. We know this because of historical empirics. Every time we've increased tariffs on China, they've increased tariffs on us, and our exports to China have gone to shit. Not to mention, we know that our allies are very willing to enter into trade agreements with us. The USMCA that Donald Trump brokered under his first administration fucking proves this. Fourth point, what has Canada's response to our tariffs been? Counter tariffs back on us. So that is why your argument is dead. Tariffs are not a good tool to get other countries to reduce their tariffs on
The
us.
difference is
And
Canada
tariffs
can't
are not
afford
the best tool.
$250
Tariffs are not the best
billion
tool.
in reduction to
Tariffs
their
are not the
GDP.
best. Tariffs are not the best tool to increase domestic production of our own goods in the long term.
They will back down as they continue to, because their economy cannot afford a 250 billion reduction in their GDP.
Yeah, you're saying that it's possible that they'll back down in the future. We
They
wouldn't even
already
have to
backed-
run that.
they
we
already
wouldn't.
backed down
No.
on
Trump
the
backed down.
electricity,
Trump
right?
backed down. We wouldn't even have to run this evaluation if we just subsidize corporate America and put more money into the productive capacities of our own producers to increase their output at lower prices to naturally price American-made goods back into the marketplace while striking trade agreements with our allies. That is objectively the better plan. Tell me why that is not the better plan.
You say that, and it sounds really pretty, except it would require immense bureaucracy, and then what do you know?
What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean?
Happening.
What does that mean? So you're telling me that
How are
it's a
you
bad plan
going?
because
How
of
are
immense
you going
bureaucracy?
to
What does that mean?
manage? How are you going to manage hundreds of billions of dollars hypothetically in commercial investment and ensure that it's not all just getting sucked up in the machine?
The same fucking way that our government manages trillions of dollars in expenses per year on like a billion fucking things. What?
And that's
We already do that. We already do that with the
That's why
Chips and
we're
Science
currently
Act.
finding.
We already do
That's
that.
why we're
We already do that with like the
finding
tax
hundreds
cuts.
of billions of dollars in complete BS, let's say, in our budget.
Okay, so you're just saying that our government needs to spend less money? So then, of course, you don't support.
yeah.
So you definitely don't support Donald Trump, then, since he's significantly worse for government expenditure when compared to Kamala Harris or Joe Biden. Under Trump's first term, he spent twice as much as Biden and Harris. And then
They're
one of
shooting
his,
for a $1.7 trillion budget cut right now.
and even if he cuts $1.7 trillion, which by the way is false, Elon Musk said the most he could cut is $1 trillion, which I don't think is achievable. That is the most biased source possible. Donald Trump will still be spending more than what Kamala Harris would have spent because one of his policies, his Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, estimated by the CBO at $8 trillion. That is more than 3 times as much as all of Kamala Harris's proposed policy and 2 times as much as every penny spent under Biden and Harris's first term. And that's just one bill.
Sorry, I'm a little baffled by that. Okay, so they're currently going in, and they've already identified hundreds of billions of dollars in the budget that haven't been spent yet that they're cutting.
Bro, you understand that they just fucking lie about that?
They lie?
Yes. Go, please. I want you to go look at the New York Times investigation.
They shut down USA.
I want you to go look at the New York Times investigation insofar as the cuts that Doge has made. They just straight up lie about contracts that don't exist. The New York Times has already exposed like their 7 top contracts that they've had listed on their website about money they've cut as just straight up being a fucking lie. Okay, and I know that your response is going to be
the New York Times.
Yeah, I know your response is going to be, oh well, the New York Times lies. It's just propaganda. Yeah. They just hate Elon Musk. They just hate Trump. Then explain to me why Elon Musk's response to the New York Times investigation of the funding they've cut was to take those fake contracts off of the Doge's website.
Dog, New York Times lies all the time.
So then tell me why Elon Musk's
personally-
response was to take the contracts the New York Times said was fake off of Doge's website.
Personally, I don't have time to get into all the crap with Elon Musk.
Explain it. If the New York Times was just spewing propaganda and lying about Doge, just fucking defaming Trump, defaming Elon, defaming Doge, spreading all of these lies, why did Doge take the contracts the New York Times called false off of their website?
I would have to look at it, but I honestly find it very hard to believe.
It's because the New York Times wasn't lying, and they provided evidence too.
All right. Regardless, you can call it a concession on that if you want. I don't know about what Elon Musk has been doing with the New York Times the last few days. You can say that these budget cuts aren't happening, but U.S. aid has already been shut down. That's a couple $100 billion right there.
Yeah, a couple $100 billion, just a drop in the pot when we'd consider that Donald Trump's Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is over 3 times as expensive than all of Kamala Harris's proposed policy. In order for him to even break even with the expenditure on another 10 years of tax cuts, Doge would have to cut upwards of $4 to $6 trillion. And I'm pretty sure that the USAID has been reopened. Yes. Donald Trump is more will you at least concede that Donald Trump spent more under his first term compared to Biden and Harris, like 2 times as much?
The Trump administration, yeah, that was one of their woes the first term, that they increased the budget year over year.
Okay.
And then COVID came in, and that was a massive wrecking ball. And you can call it a cop out, but I would think that you would be able to agree that regardless of president, we were going to be a little rough during COVID.
And that's why when we factor for COVID-related expenditure, Trump still spent twice as much. If we ignore all expenditure on COVID by Trump still signed $4.8 trillion of debt into law. If we ignore all of COVID-related expenditure under Biden and Harris only spent $2.2 trillion signed into law.
Are you just ignoring the spending bills?
I'm ignoring all of the COVID spending, yeah.
Do you define the infrastructure bill as COVID spending?
No.
What about the Green New Deal? No?
The Green Dude, that wasn't a bill passed under Biden and Harris. Propaganda.
So we didn't spend, what was it, 2.4 trillion dollars in the infrastructure bill?
No, we didn't. The infrastructure bill was a $1 trillion plan in which to this date, I think only half of it has been spent. So nope, you're wrong.
No, the only reason it's not at 2 trillion is because they cut all of it when Trump just got back into the office.
Under the last 4 years, Biden and Harris only spent $2.2 trillion on non-COVID related expenditure, according to the CRBF. And no, that was a $1 trillion bill passed through Congress in 2021. And no, Donald Trump can't just say, oh, this congressional legislation is over. No, he can't. Oh my God, did you just say that?
I'm conceding that he spent more during the first term. And we can also discuss why he did that and the administration that he surrounded himself with in the first term.
Yeah.
He's not making those same mistakes this time. And the tax cuts are going to be part of that as well, which again,
the tax cuts are already a mistake. It's trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars taking money out of the pockets of poor people and giving it straight to rich people. Are you kidding me?
This is all speculation. This is all speculation because the top economist will not, and there is no top dog economist, but any credible economist is probably wrong more than they're right. And it's because it's like trying to predict the weather. So
look, my God, you're such an anti-intellectualist. Yes, I have a source from the Institute of Taxation and Economics that would demonstrate that anybody making under $395,000 per year will be worse off under Donald Trump's tax cuts and tariffs, but you ignore that, saying that they're likely to be wrong. But we also know that the empirical outcome of the last 7 years of the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act has been pretty similar to that. 80% of the cuts going to the top 1%, only generating $6 billion per year in additional government revenue while costing $1.9 trillion. Even if you deny all projections by all reputable institutes of taxation and economics, we could literally look at the empirical outcome of the last 7 years under the identical tax cuts that Donald Trump signed into law during his first term, it was still very fucking wasteful spending. $1.9 trillion for a $6 billion per year return. Is that a good investment or is that a bad investment?
It's all speculative.
That's not speculative. No.
Look. Again.
No, Rocco, stop. That's not speculative. That's something that's already happened. That is just an evaluation of like a fact that has already occurred. What about that is speculative? What?
Look, I would really not like to spend all of our time talking in economics. I'll say my last point, and then you can refute it.
Like why? No. Explain to me why that's speculative.
No, the effects are speculative.
How?
I'm not going further down this. Look, so on the economic policies, I agree with the goal of boosting domestic production. I agree with the idea of using the power of the American economy to make foreign countries back down off of unfavorable trading, positions with us and other policies.
Boo, I'm kicking Rocco. I'm just kicking him. We're moving on. He's kicked off the live and I'm moving on because that guy sucks. Okay, let's be real. We're going to get that next guest up in here. Just go and put a MAGA down below in that chat if you do want to come up and join, y'all. Everyone do. Just kind of give us a minute. We're just going to kick that guy for being a loser, dude. I'm so sorry. If you just can't come to grip with fact and you're like, oh, this data is speculative, but I don't want to explain why, so I'm going to move on and repeat what I've already said a billion times. That makes me angry. What's up, Tyler? Oh, I accidentally kicked Tyler. I'm sorry about that, Tyler. Please, Tyler, feel free to hop back in that queue for me while we get our next guest up here. There's also a handful of people that I got to thank. First and foremost, Megan with a $10 super chat over on YouTube saying he's a literal trust me bro gas on God, Megan. Thank you for the $10 sub. That is MEGHAN. Thank you, Megan. Then also Queen with the 30 Australian dollars. I want to see at least 300 W's for Queen. That's so kind of you. Queen says, hey Dean, I'm Amelia, a 20-year-old trans woman in Australia. Thanks for being an ally to trans people. I've experienced my community censorship on social media without even being an American citizen. Keep it up. Yeah, bro, especially on TikTok. You can't even talk about trans-related issues on TikTok, and it makes me so sad. I'm so sorry about that. Vigilante, thank you for the $20 super chat over on YouTube saying, hell yeah, he does suck. He does not know how to tie his shoes. Most likely true, quite frankly. 200 W's for Vigilante with the $20. That's so kind of you. Trezzy with the $10. Thank you, Trezzy. Alexander with a 1. Vigilante with a 5. Then Chance with a 10 from 20 minutes ago. Thank you so much for the love, Chance. Kaden with a 10. Phil with a 10. And then Chance with another 20. Thank you so much for the love, Chance. You guys are phenomenal. Everyone, please show some love to our YouTube super chatters. You guys are so incredibly kind. I'd also like to thank Kylan with a $25 donation over on PayPal. Thank you, Kylan. Oh my God, 250 W's for Kylan. That is KYLILINN. Thank you so much for the love, Kylan. Yeah, you guys are phenomenal. If you're watching the live right now and you do want to support me, you could support me on Venmo or PayPal, which you could find in the link tree in my bio. If you're watching on TikTok right now, I get 100% of the proceeds on those platforms. They go straight to me. You could attach your name and amount in a message, and I will shout you out and read your message. If you're watching over on YouTube and you'd like to support me on Venmo or PayPal, it's in the pen message. But if you're watching on YouTube, you could also support over Super Chat. Now, what is going on, Chrissy? Did you vote for Trump?
Yeah.
Okay, why is that?
Because he wants to get Greenland, and I like them fish.
You waited that long.
Sorry, W. I love you.
Yeah. Yeah, much love, man. Much love, dude. You were in it for the long term. You had to listen to Yap there. Very patient troll. Very patient troll. By the way, if you're watching, you guys, make sure that you're double tapping. Let's try to get up to 2 million likes, everybody. What's up, Tyler? Did he vote for Trump?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Are you driving?
No, I'm actually currently working. I am a law enforcement officer in Florida, and I'm got some downtime.
You're on the shift. Okay, cop in Florida. Would you mind disconnecting your phone from Bluetooth real quick, just so we could hear you through your phone's mic? It's typically a little bit better.
I'm not currently attached to Bluetooth.
Okay, well then this will do. So tell us, why did you vote for Trump?
Mainly the issues that I supported with Trump is mainly just getting the border under control. As being a resident in Florida, the amount of illegal immigrants that I see on a daily basis working in law enforcement in Florida is a little bit outrageous. The fact that there is a plan to get that under control, even though a lot of people I can see definitely disagree with it. And I, being in law enforcement, I can empathize with the struggle these people are going through. But the thing I feel with a bunch of people in this country is they do not know how to draw the line between empathy and sympathy. And what I see the Democrats doing is trying to bring feelings and emotions into policy, which will get, in the long term, will not get anywhere,
Okay.
get us anywhere in finding a more productive solution.
So you support productive solutions devoid of empathy and emotion, right?
Not devoid of empathy and empathy, and it's the line between empathy and sympathy.
Okay.
You can empathize with these people, but the thing is the law is the law. These people that came into the country illegally violated the law, and unfortunately, they have to deal with the consequences of violating that law.
Okay, well, let's see if what you're telling us is accurate here, and you're actually just willing to do whatever is best fit to serve to the best interests of our country and the people within it. So I'm going to go and give you a dilemma. We have a bunch of undocumented migrants in our country. For the undocumented migrants that have not committed violent crimes, what do you think is better? Offering them a pathway to residency or citizenship, aka mass amnesty, or mass deportation?
But I still lean more towards the deportation part of it.
Sweet. Can you name one way that undocumented migrants in America hurt the American economy?
Majority of them do not have social security numbers, nor are they paying taxes to fund the betterment of this country.
Okay.
They're collecting the money that they make working here and sending it back home to their families in Mexico.
Okay. Not all undocumented migrants are Mexican, but do you have any other way that they hurt the American economy?
Off the top of my head, not at the moment, no.
Great. So, you told us about how you like logic, you like reason, you like fact, and you like benefiting America, and you want to leave emotions and empathy aside to a certain extent. So let's see if you could do that now, because what you just told us was just, factually incorrect. It is a case that undocumented migrants pay upwards of $100 billion in taxes on the federal, state, and local level per year, and they do not collect as many government benefits as citizens, meaning that proportionately speaking, they're better, quote unquote, productive providers both to the economy and to our government when compared to citizens. And if we were to offer undocumented migrants a pathway to residency or citizenship, they would have an SSN, and there'd be even more undocumented migrants that are more willing to work over the table, and they'd get higher wages as they now have more bargaining power, meaning that they'd be paying more in taxes and putting more into the economy. So, from an economic standpoint, giving undocumented migrants a pathway to residency or citizenship is significantly better than a mass deportation, which now means our government is spending $175 billion on the plan, with the opportunity cost of $100 billion per year in government revenue being foregone. So, if you care about the economy and you want to do what's best for it, put those silly little emotions aside and agree that mass amnesty is the way to go, as it produces the best economic outcomes.
I could see that point of argument, definitely.
Yeah.
But the part being that people getting emotional about them being charged criminally, the people that have, even though the ones that, like you've said, have come to just work, provide for their families, but yes, in the end, the fact that the people don't notice that, hey, yeah, they have broken the law, and are freaking out because they're being treated like quote unquote criminals. That's where we're getting into the people and the Democrats showing feeling and emotion, and it's getting nowhere when they're trying to say, oh, this law is unjust or the whatever. We do live in a democracy. If the law needs to be changed, they need to put it up for a vote and let the people vote on it. That's how laws get changed in this country.
Well, you support a rapist felon as president that has pardoned cop beaters, violently assaulting them, and drove stun gun into their necks, calling them patriots. I'm not too convinced that you care too much about law and order or the application of law and order. And it is interesting that you really only uphold those virtues in the context of undocumented migrants. And by the way, a big reason why Democrats are very angry right now with mass deportation is because it's not being gone about in like in an orderly fashion. Individuals are having their constitutional rights being violated. Trump's administration is ignoring court orders. They're implementing legislation from the 18th century to be able to quickly process and deport undocumented migrants without due process. He's firing federal judges that oversee immigration courts to stop leniency being granted to undocumented migrants. There is a lot of nitty-gritty details here as it would apply to Donald Trump's mass deportation of undocumented migrants that is revoking their right to due process, that is speculating that people are undocumented migrants based upon fucking tattoos, and deporting U.S. citizens like a 10-year-old girl with brain cancer just because her family was undocumented. But my position is that I hate mass deportation because it is the worst solution to a problem in every single regard. Rather, it's economic concerns, it's humanitarian concerns, it's practical concerns, it's constitutional concerns, and mass deportation produces better outcomes in every conceivable sense, as well as I don't fault undocumented migrants too much for their undocumented migration into America, because the root cause of undocumented migration is very bad legal processes of migration that have been neglected by our government for all of modern American history, including Trump, who has done nothing to expedite the legal means of migration, which is the only thing our government could ever do to reduce undocumented migration in the long term.
So, prior to Trump's administration, in the 8 years that I would say like under Obama and all that, when the Democrats had the power, majority of the power in this country, what solutions did they do to improve people being able to get their citizenship and come into this country legally?
Very fair question. I'm really unaware of Obama-era policy. Obviously, what you're hinting at is that this isn't something that's just true of Trump. It's also true of Democrats, and I actually agree with you there. I'm a little bit further left-leaning on this issue, at least further left than the Democrat Party, and I will critique both the Democrats and the Republicans for this. But what I can say is that the Republicans are worse than the Democrats in this regard because Donald Trump torpedoed the Lankford border bill, which had funding for more judges, for more courts on the border to expedite legal claims of migration, residency, and asylum, which was at least doing something. He was actively thwarting doing anything. Meanwhile, he has no plans of his own. Seemingly, MAGA is going to be worse for the legal processes of migration than Democrats, but that doesn't mean I can't acknowledge that the Democrats aren't doing that good either.
Okay. But the thing is the mass deportation thing. I mean, of course, we could both agree there's controversy on both sides. I could see the argument with the amnesty. I could also see the sides of argument with the mass deportation part of it.
I mean, is there any other, like, do you have any other arguments for mass deportation? Please give them to me, because I seriously, I don't think there is any. Give me an argument for mass deportation over mass amnesty.
Realistically, I look at it more as a very aggressive approach to solve a problem that's been going on for decade or more.
Well, it doesn't solve. Wait. The problem is the ignored legal means of entry into our country that causes mass undocumented migration. And the solution of mass deportation only hurts our economy, only hurts the people, only hurts average qualities of life here, and doesn't solve anything to do with the cause of undocumented migration. I just don't see an argument for it.
Okay, well, I could concede to that.
Nice. Very cool, man. Very cool. Is there anything else that you wanted to share with us while you're up here insofar as why you voted for Trump? Actually, I want to ask you a question. How the hell do you feel about him pardoning cop beaters?
Pardoning cop beaters?
Yeah, like DJ Rodriguez drove a stun gun into a cop's neck on January 6th, violently assaulted him. Cop testified against him in court. Trump's response is to call DJ a patriot and let him out of jail. He also like pardoned people that had warrants for their arrest for like child sex crimes. Some of the people that he pardoned were like got in a shootout with cops in like the 48 hours that followed. A lot of individuals were like rearrested. There's 600 people that were arrested and charged with violent assault on cops on January 6th that were pardoned by Trump.
As far as those individual cases, I can't say I have enough knowledge on them to really have an argument. It'd definitely be something I'd have to educate myself more on.
But like, those are your boys, you know what I mean? Like, imagine if that was you. Imagine that you were a cop at the Capitol on January 6th. You got a fucking like taser driven into your neck by a citizen. You arrest them. You take them to jail. They get charged. You testify against them. They plead guilty. They go to jail. The president lets them out. Would you be pissed?
I can't say I wouldn't be happy.
You'd be pissed, right? You'd be like, oh, what is this shit?
But a lot of them things too. It is when it comes down to it is a case by case basis, with a lot of stuff regarding that. But it is something I would definitely have to look into and read more into.
Okay.
As far as other things, I mean, I was listening to your debate with the previous guy about the economy and tariffs and all that. I'm not really huge on the tariffs, but I do see the idea behind it. Is it going to work? Again, that's something that is yet to be seen. Has it worked in the past and you're talking about the thing with China and all that and it not working with China? I mean, this country's been in a trade war with China for over a decade.
Yeah.
Okay. They charge us out the ass for us to export goods to them, but then whenever they export goods to us, we don't barely charge them anything. And that's why you see a majority of goods in this country saying made in China versus made in America.
Oh, well, the reason you see that is because they could produce goods for cheaper pricing American-made goods out of the market. Well, is there anything else that you wanted to go over, man?
There is, but I'll probably have to catch you on another one of your lives.
All right. Have a good one, Tyler. We're going to move on to the next guest. That dude was asking, saying that he'd have to evaluate. Oh, shit, Parker's in the queue. Great timing. That dude was saying that he'd have to, like, evaluate it on a case-by-case basis, man. My guy, I gave you a very specific case. Jen, thank you for the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat, saying I'm amazed by your brilliance every day. Thanks for fighting the good fight. Jen, I appreciate you for the $10 and as well as the very kind message. Thank you so much, Jen. And then also Nicholas with the $20 Super Chat, saying, love your content and you're goated. Keep up the great work and appreciate the work that you do. Well, that's very kind of you, Nicholas. And with the $20 as well, that's so very kind. 100 W's for Jen. 200 W's for Nicholas. Very, very kind. As well as Chrissy with the 10 pounds and Kinsey with the $10, guys. Thank you so much. What is up, Ryan? Did you vote for Trump? Also, welcome.
I did.
Parker.
I'm going to come out guns a-blazing here. Dean, this is what I think. I think you're a grifter. I think you're a bad faith debater.
Yippee.
And I think you're an intellectual coward.
Yeah, this is where you leave the live, right?
That's an interesting start to the live.
I know. I know, Parker. You just really came in at an interesting time here. But Ryan, there's a couple things that I wanted to address with you specifically. So I'm not gonna lie, man. I have these conversations every single day for 4 hours. Whenever anybody comes up here and like says things like, "Oh, Dean, you're a coward, you're a grifter, you're not good at what you do," you always end up running away. So Ryan, I want to make it incredibly clear that when you leave this live and when you run away with your tail in between your legs, I want you to actively reflect upon the fact that you came up here trying to diss on me and then you ran away from me because I made you cry. So keep that in mind in the following discussion. Now, to have the following discussion, what is a grifter?
Somebody who takes advantage of people. I mean, okay, before you talk about running away, I've already spoken to you, Parker, multiple times, and you guys have ran away every single time.
I don't remember you. Who are you?
I'm the one you just kicked off about 5 minutes ago after I said that I've spoken to you.
Oh, great. Well, that's not me running away. That's because I only speak to one person one time. But now you've come up here with some incredibly interesting
so
shit.
how you guys criticized Charlie Kirk about running away from Parker because he wanted to have other people to have a conversation? So you guys are doing the exact same thing?
So I criticized Charlie Kirk for running away because Charlie Kirk reached out to me, said he'd love to have a follow-up discussion. Went on George Janko's podcast, called me incredibly intellectually honest, said that he would sit at a table with me for a debate. And then I texted his manager, and his manager was like, Charlie said after the election, he will sit down with you for a discussion. Then since the election, I haven't gotten a response. I think that would be very fair, and that is a very obvious and blatantly clear example of him running away from me. Now, when you say grifter, you're saying that, oh, I'm dishonest, I lead people astray. No, I fucking cook Trump supporters trying to get y'all to recognize that you're wrong and that there's significantly better beliefs, not only for yourself, not only for your interpersonal relationships with your family members and friends, but also for society as a whole. And the way that you treat me and you pay me back is by calling me a POS grifter that takes advantage of people. How could you? I mean, that is so disrespectful, Ryan.
No, it's truth. You're not interested in finding a common ground. You're not interested in the truth. You're only interested in protecting your ideological turf. You're only interested in finding the lowest common denominator of Trump supporters and clipping them so people send you money. And the sad thing is,
is that why we're talking to you, Ryan?
And the sad thing is, if you guys were actually acting in good faith, you guys
I'm
could
just
still
asking.
make
I'm
money.
asking
You
Ryan.
guys
Is
could.
that why we're talking to you?
You guys are only talking to me because I had to pull out these
You
insults
said
just
we
for you
only
to.
talk to people who are like the lowest common denominator. Does that mean you're the lowest common denominator? That's just like the logical
No,
implication of
because
what you
that's why
said.
you guys keep
Raise
kicking me
your hand.
off
Raise
because
your
I'm
hand.
the only one that can actually
What do you
challenge you
mean? We
guys'
have you
critical
on the
thinking
live right
skills.
now. We have you on the live right now. You're not
Hey,
challenging anything
hey, I'd
because
also
again, you're the lowest common denominator.
I'd also like
Yeah,
to say real
because I
quick.
had to lower myself to your guys' level to insult you
Am
just for
I?
you guys to defend yourself.
Wait, I have a question. Was I like chasing the lowest common denominator when I paid over $1,000 to fly out to LA and debate Ben Shapiro, Charlie Kirk, as well as my own episode, where I debated 25 random Trump supporters for over 3 hours straight that I knew nothing about, apart from the fact that they had been vetted out of a larger group of Trump supporters and invited onto the Jubilee setting specifically for tangible discussion?
My only point is I've been
Right.
doing this a week.
Right.
I've been doing this a week, and you guys are running for me because I'm actually challenging your guys' thoughts and
Yeah,
putting
yeah.
holes in your
Yeah,
theories.
maybe if I knew who you were, you'd have a little bit stronger.
I have no
ground to
clue who
stand
this
on.
person is. Like,
Well,
Paul,
Parker-
thank you so much for the
Parker-
$25 donation over on YouTube
Parker-
Super Chat to support the grift. Thank you so much for the love, Paul. I want to see at least 250 big W's for Paul. And
Parker,
then Will
I
and
have on
Trezzy with a
video
$5 per person,
fact-checking.
guys. Thank you so much. And then Tristan with a $10 on Venmo to keep up the grift. Thank you for the love, Tristan. And Dylan with a $50 on Venmo. Say thank you. Thank you for spending the time researching and educating. I always will. Thank you so much for the love, Dylan. $50 is so much fucking money. That is insane. At least 500 W's for Dylan, 500 W's for Gayla, Tristan, and then Tyler with a $25. Thank you so much for the love, Tyler. You guys are so incredibly kind. Could I go and get a W from you for the donors real quick, Ryan?
Cameron, thank you for the $5.
Hey, W for
Congrats
the
for the YouTube
donors,
play
man.
button. Thank you so much.
These guys do work. I understand what they're
Base.
doing,
Heck,
and
thank
like
you for the galaxy. I
the
appreciate
hustler part of me respects you guys, but the person that's looking for like a common ground and actually trying to have honest debates does not.
Bro,
respect.
how can you say that you're looking for common ground and that you have honest debates when the first thing you say to me is that I'm a fucking grifter that's intellectually dishonest and bad at debating?
Because I can prove it. And I'm explaining it to you exactly how you're doing it because you are just looking for clips and aha moments and bringing people into little traps just so you can clip them and have everybody send you money.
I actually,
And the
whoa, I actually disagree with that. I've had like, okay, for instance, the last conversation I had, it was with a cop, okay? And this cop tells me that he supports mass deportation, kind of sidelighting empathy and emotion just to kind of focus on fact and productive outcomes. And what did I do in response to that? I could have just gone straight for the clippable moment of saying, oh, you're a fucking cop. What about Donald Trump disputing the criminal justice system? What about Donald Trump literally pardoning fucking cop beaters and got a clip on him for disrespecting his brothers? But instead, I engaged in what I saw to be at least a seemingly productive conversation because I said, okay, let's assume you're right. Let's see what produces the best outcomes for a country and the people residing within it. What makes more sense, mass deportation or mass amnesty? I explain the implications of mass deportation. I explain the implications of mass amnesty, and I lay out to him how under his worldview, mass amnesty is significantly better than mass deportation. And he says he gets it, he concedes, and I'm like, do you have any other arguments? Is there anything else that you want to talk about? No, I'm here to have genuine good faith discussion with anybody that wants to come up and have it. But one special thing about me is that I give the same energy that I get, okay? You can find
That's not true. That's
so
not
many
true.
clips
That's
of me out there.
absolutely
No,
not
no, no, no,
true.
no. You can find so many clips of me out there. All that you have to do is go to my repost on this account, and the second repost is a 8-minute discussion of me discussing with a pro-life Trump voter and having very calm, very mature, very productive conversation because she was calm, mature, and productive for the most part. But then as soon as people like you come up and you're like, oh, you're a fucking grifter, you're dishonest, and all this shit, I'm gonna give you that same exact energy, and I'm not gonna be as kind. And I don't find any issue with that.
Also, like, bro, Ryan, if you want to check my stuff, you can go to my YouTube. I post plenty of
We've
the
had
conversations
multiple
that I have
conversations. We've had multiple.
where I am very nice to people.
No,
and
no. I have clips of both of you conversating with me and trying to insult me and call me names on absolutely unexpected and unfounded, reasons. Because
Okay. I bet there are times on my live where I have done that. What's your point?
yeah,
I totally agree and acknowledge that sometimes I insult people without good reason. Now,
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if that was true in this context, but I'll grant that that's true. What's your point from this?
My point is, whenever you guys are losing debates, that's what you guys go to.
That's
And
not whenever when we're losing in debates. You're just saying there's a
in my
circumstance where
experience,
we
when you
did do
guys
that.
debate me, you start losing and you start calling names.
No, maybe you just assume that like we're losing and we're insulting you because you're wrong on something.
Your own audience, when you guys kick me, are like, "Oh, I actually agreed with that guy," and then the texts or the
What?
chats are there.
Dude, you're actually you
I mean,
read
you
like
guys have
two
plenty-
comments You read like 2 comments in the comment section from Trump supporters. Like, get a
Bro,
grip, dude.
I just want to make this clear. You could go on Twitter. You could find a clip of Nick Fuentes saying,
I have the clip
listen,
of us.
Listen, Ryan.
I have the clip
Ryan,
of us.
Could you just listen to me real quick?
Yeah.
You could go on Twitter. You could find a clip of Nick Fuentes literally praising Mustache Man. Okay? And you will find hundreds of people in the reply saying, oh, I agree with this guy. Or for instance, you could find a clip on Twitter of somebody joining my live and saying that they want to grape my girlfriend with hundreds of responses saying W guess. That's awesome. This guy's right. This guy's so cool for saying that he wants to grape Dean Withers' girlfriend. Okay? There's a certain proportion
That's not
of
cool.
very
I don't agree with
very
any of that.
deplorable, of very decrepit humans that are willing to agree with anything that any guest says on these lives merely because they don't like me, merely because they don't like Parker. So don't let your ego get inflated because you could come up here and call me a grifter, then get like 3 W
My ego's not
from
inflated.
incels in the comment section.
My ego's not inflated. And
Dean kind of ate with that one. That was kind of crazy, bro.
No, because that has nothing to do with our conversations.
What are you talking about?
I'm gonna bring it straight out that I apologize for coming in so hot, but I felt like it was the only way to get an actual conversation to actually intellectually challenge you guys because
I'm sorry. You can give an argument then. Like you haven't done that. You said that we're grifters. Do you actually believe that we're grifters?
in a way, yeah, I do because I've been going on a lot of these left-wing influencers just for the past week. I've only been debating for a week, and I feel
and you
very
can already
strongly.
determine that I'm a grifter. Okay.
Yeah.
Only just in my opinion, and I'm going to show you why.
Okay.
I've only spoken to one influencer that I don't think is a grifter, and I could have hours conversation, and he acts in good faith. His name is Matt, the Rockin' Librarian. I love that motherfucker.
Yeah, Matt is totally genuine.
Yes.
You know, Matt's one of my best friends.
Yes, I do know that.
And you want to know what Matt would say about me?
He would probably have your back. He's your
exactly.
He's your best
Wait,
friend.
so if you believe that he's genuine and he thinks that I'm genuine, well then why would you dispute that?
Brother, it's just from what I've seen over the past.
Okay.
Like
How about
I
we just
actually
have
think
a
W
Parker. I
Matt's in
think
the chat.
Parker.
We
I
fucking
think
love Matt.
How about we just
yeah,
have a
Matt's the man.
discussion about why
Matt's
you
the
voted
man.
for
I love
Trump?
Matt.
But we just have a discussion about why you voted for Trump. You've came up here. You've made a point. Let's just have a political discourse. How about that? Before we do, I really got to thank Kim for the $10 donation on YouTube Super Chat saying, help, I'm being grifted. Thank you for letting me grift you, Kim, with the $10. As well as Trezzy, that is Treize with the $20. Thank you so much for the love, Trezzy. Trezzy says, I got to read all of them. I apologize if this comes off rude. It's coming from Trezzy, not me. But Trezzy says, and I quote, can this crybaby just debate, or is he going to complain about...
Hey, I want to debate. I'm here to debate. So I voted for Trump because he's putting America first.
Hold up, Brian. Before you do, I just wanted to say thank you to 2 people real quick, and I didn't want to have to cut you off later on. Tristan, thank you for the $10 for keep the good work. Thank you so much. And Lindsay, thank you for the $10 for congratulations on your YouTube plaque. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Here's some W's for them in the comments.
And then I wasn't quite done. You just kind of interrupted me. Ken with the $15 on Venmo, 150 W's for Ken says keep the grift between us. Oh shit, it's public knowledge now. I'm sorry, Ken. And then also Bonnie with the $20 donation on Venmo saying thank you for grifting me. Let's go. Thank you for being grifted, Bonnie. 200 W's for Bonnie. And then of course Veronica with the $20 on PayPal saying that you're the best. Thank you so much for the love, Veronica. That's very kind. Show some love to Veronica, Bonnie, Ken, Trezzy, all the love. Take it away. Tell us why you voted for Trump. While you're explaining why you voted for Trump, I'm going to go use the restroom real quick. Parker's on the mic. Take it away.
Shit, I voted for Trump because he's putting America first. He's putting our workers first, our security, our economic strength. He's giving us strong borders. He has actual results of historic economic growth, lower taxes, and energy independence. And he's ending wars instead of starting them.
Okay, so you said energy independence, you said economic growth, and then you said he's ending wars, not starting them.
Yeah,
I got you. Not starting. Okay, so a few things. What wars did he end?
Well, he's in the process of getting the Ukraine and Russia thing coming to a ceasefire. It hasn't happened yet, I understand, but we are the closest that we've ever been. And Putin respects Trump a lot more than he respects Biden or Harris.
So again, is it good for a murderous dictator to respect you? Wouldn't that be indicative that they're like more likely to like get what they want from you? Secondly, like he's not ending any war. Actually, if you look at like the conditions for the quote unquote ceasefire that he wants to create between Russia and Ukraine, it gives no assurances to the Ukrainian people that they will not be invaded in the future.
You know what the Budapest memorandum was when there was assurances given, not guarantees. I mean, assurances don't mean much anymore if they can just
I meant guarantee. That's what I meant.
Yeah. All right. Well, there's a bigger picture at hand, and I've spoken about this before, but China is the real threat. Do you know what Richard Nixon did in 1972 when he went to China? Do you know why he went to China?
I don't see how that's like a response to anything I just said.
Oh, it's absolutely relevant. Let me explain it to you, because the reason why we need to be allies with Russia is the exact reason why we needed to be allies with China in 1972. Do you know why?
Did I just come back to this guy saying we need to be allies with Russia?
Yeah, I guess he's now arguing this because he thinks that China is like the
Not. We need to have a strategic alliance because China is the threat. I don't think any of you guys understand how fast and how big China is growing, and they hate the West. So, I mean, what the hell? You guys need to wake the hell up.
They've had a stagnated GDP for the last 3 years.
Brother, they are growing militarily and digitally and electronically. Like, they have our technology superiority is coming, and it's coming fast. And they're going to replace us as a world power if we don't fucking do something. And we don't want them friends with Russia.
I think that their GDP has actually gone down a little bit in the last 3 years.
So the unintended consequence of NATO expanding east is that China and Russia have become best friends. And that is a huge threat. That is not good. Okay?
With their GDP has been on a decline since 2021.
That's fine and dandy. I mean,
you're kind of like painting this picture like China is this rapidly evolving and growing country that's going to take.
Well, how has their GDP? How has it done in the past 3 or 4 months? Because it's gone way up.
I don't have specific data from the last 3 or 4 months, but basing upon the data that I just get from Google when I type in China GDP, it doesn't look like they're doing too well. And then also, I mean, if you like think that we should try to get away from China, like, of course, you'd then support the Biden-Harris administration's Chips and Science Act that specifically is investing in U.S. chip producers so we could take up 20% of the global chip production yield per year, meaning that we're definitely...
So the invasion of Taiwan doesn't mean anything anymore?
From China. The invasion of Taiwan...
So we're just going to let Taiwan be invaded then? That's the unintended consequence.
How are you saying?
Because all of a sudden we're going to be like, we don't need Taiwan anymore. We're not going to go defend them when China takes it back.
Oh, don't. Just because we are upping our own chip production doesn't mean that we don't think Taiwan has a right to exist as its.
Yeah, but we're not going to have as much incentive to protect them anymore.
Wait, do you think that we only protect Taiwan because of chip production? I mean, it's definitely a big reason, but I don't.
It is a big reason.
I don't think that stating that the U.S. wants to produce more chips domestically is going to do much.
If China takes over Taiwan, that is the end of our world power. That's the end of our influence in the Asian part of the world. I mean, China, that's for sure going to put them on the road to replace us as the world power, and that's not good.
I don't. Give me one indicator of rapid growth in the last 3 years from China.
Brother, it's over the past 20 years, man. Just look at the trend. Look at their trend versus our trend.
I know, I'm looking at the trend.
Talk to any expert that says
I'm looking at the trend in the last 3 years. Where can I see this rapid growth?
You got to zoom out a little bit, man.
Okay.
Right. Just like any market, it goes up and down like a heartbeat a little bit.
Like what point are you trying to get at here?
I'm trying to get at the reason why Nixon went to China in 1972.
No, I'm asking you why Donald Trump is a better president.
You don't let me finish. You don't let me finish. The reason why he went to China in 1972 is because he didn't want the Soviets and China to be too good of friends, because that was a threat to America, because the Soviets were the main threat at the time. So he got China away from the Soviets. We're doing the exact opposite right now. We are going to Russia and getting them away from China, because China is the main threat. We don't want them to be buddy, like with the unintended consequence of NATO expanding east has done. And now there's a threat to us controlling having the US dollar I mean, they could have it. They could create a huge economic zone where the United States dollar is not even recognized anymore, and that would be a huge
So I have a
problem
question.
for
Do
our
you think that
economy.
Donald Trump tanking U.S. stock markets, slowing American GDP growth, and isolating us from
He's
our
not
allies is
tanking
good or
it. It's a
bad?
transition period for the tariffs he put in. You guys know that, so don't act
This quote unquote
disingenuous.
okay, even if I accept your argument that it's a quote unquote transition period, the transition period is still tanking US stock markets. The transition period is still pushing America towards a recession. The transition period is still increasing income inequities and decreasing average purchasing powers of Americans. Like all these things are still very, very bad for global dominance, right?
I accept that, but it's a short-term problem for long-term stability. It's a short-term
What long-term stability?
is the economic growth that bringing American innovation and businesses to America is going to provide. When you're
Yeah.
putting a tariff on foreign goods, that you are putting a tax on foreign goods. That means goods in America, businesses in America are going to be way cheaper than the foreign goods. That means people are going to be putting money in American businesses, which is going to create more American jobs, and it's a huge cycle that everyone's like, "Oh my God."
I'm unconvinced. The reason I'm unconvinced is of like economic prosperity in the long term caused by tariffs is because then it forces us to make things that we're not good at making, that other countries are better at making, and it completely negates comparative advantage, which I think would slow GDP growth.
Unfair advantage because there's human right violations going on in China.
No, just allow me to finish. Competitive advantage. Now, okay, I definitely do agree with imposing tariffs on companies that exploit human labor. And B, even if I accept that tariffs will lead to a greater GDP yield in the long term, there's merely other forms of isolationist policy, protectionist policy, such as subsidizing corporate America, that would lead to a bump in domestic production of goods, a higher level of reliance from consumers in our market on goods made in our market, but it would not lead to a recession now. It would not lead to drops in the stock market.
We're not in a recession
or any
right
of the other like unwanted consequences.
We're definitely not in a recession right now.
We're definitely on our way to a recession. That's undeniable.
Sure. I mean, but that doesn't mean it or is indicative that a recession will happen because.
Wait, yeah, I think that a projection of a 3% recess in our GDP for one financial quarter is indicative of recesses for two financial quarters. What? I definitely think that, yeah, like a 3% decline in our GDP is an indication of the possibility of a future recession, please.
All right. Well, so some of those tariffs are on our allies, Mexico and Canada. And I see Trump supporter after Trump supporter come up here and try to argue that this is for like.
Can you repeat my argument? I hate it when people do this to me. Repeat my argument.
What do you mean?
I gave you an argument to dispute why tariffs are good.
Yeah.
And I just want you to respond to it, of course, but I don't think that you heard it. Can you repeat the argument I gave you?
That we're on our way to a recession because we've had 2 months of.
My argument is that I'm unconvinced that tariffs are good for GDP growth in the long term. The reason I'm unconvinced is because it forgoes comparative advantage, and it means we're producing things we're not efficient at producing. But even if I accept that tariffs are good for GDP growth in the long term, there's other things we could use that are better for GDP growth in the long term, such as investing in the industrial sector of America now that does the same thing that you think tariffs do without any of the negative byproducts like inflation, income inequity, counter tariffs, trade wars, or, slow GDP growth, free falls in the stock market, etc.
Sure. And what I was trying to explain is that the tariffs with China are more about a trade war, but people don't realize the tariffs on like Mexico and Canada has been explicitly stated that this is to have leverage over them to help control of the F word into our country. Do you realize that the F word is the #1 killer of Americans 18 through 45 years old? Do you understand that? It's the #1 killer.
I recognize that the F word, very, very bad, undeniable. I don't think that's true, though. The reason I don't think that's true is because Donald Trump has rescinded the tariffs on Canada like 3 times now, and Canada hasn't done anything to slow the entrance of the F word. But
they
you're still
haven't?
not responding to my claim.
They haven't done anything to slow because they have appointed a special. Yes, they have. Look it up. They have appointed a czar, especially in control. That it's his only job is to make sure the F word isn't going over the border.
Yeah, I thought that was a part of the $1.3 billion border bill passed by their parliament in November. If that was a response to tariff, then awesome. Now, I want you to respond to my argument.
Your argument that why not both? You can do tariffs and you can do investing in your industrial complex. Like,
why not both? Because tariffs produce bad outcomes. Investment into the industrial sector of our country produces good outcomes.
They don't always produce bad outcomes.
We're looking at the bad outcomes. We're already living through the bad outcomes. You can't deny them. Slow GDP growth, free falls in the stock market. You refer to it as the transitionary term. You think that there's bad outcomes that exist right now that wouldn't exist if we just invested into the manufacturing sector of our country.
I believe we are investing into the manufacturing part of our country, but the tariffs.
No, I'm saying if we didn't do tariffs and just a massive fucking plan to invest into the manufacturing sector of America, increases domestic production, increases dominance of American producers, increases our GDP in the long term, and is great for protecting our manufacturing sector. Doing the same exact thing that you think tariffs are supposed to do.
So tariffs are just
without
never
any
good.
of the negative byproducts.
They don't ever work.
Also, not my fucking claim. All I'm claiming is that investing into a manufacturing sector with subsidies for productive
I'm not saying investing
is
into
so
our
much better
manufacturing
than
is a bad
tariffs.
thing.
Making tariffs
You
bad.
can do both. They can both be right at the same time.
No, because tariffs make bad outcomes now and possibly bad outcomes in the future. And investing into the manufacturing sector makes no bad outcomes now.
Possibly good outcome in the future as well.
Ryan, what's good that comes from tariffs? Because I would say overall
Could you ask that question after?
Jobs.
Because it's just completely pivoting around my argument.
What do you mean? Look at the 1980s Asian.
Yeah, this is just all pivoting around my argument. None of this is relevant for right now. All that I want you to address is that there's two things that you think will increase domestic production long term: tariffs and investment in American manufacturing. If we take the route of tariffs, listen. If we take the route of tariffs, okay, we have a lot of bad outcomes now, like possible recession, drops in stock market, increases in income inequity, regressive effects on low income earners, and inflation. If we take the route of subsidizing corporate America, none of those bad outcomes, but it prices American goods back into the market and dominates the market. Because tariffs produce a lot more bad outcomes than investing into American manufacturing, tariffs are bad.
No, that's just your subjective opinion.
And tell me why it's wrong. Tell me why it's wrong. Because I gave you a relevant alternative that doesn't produce the bad outcomes, meaning that tariffs produce unnecessary harm, meaning that tariffs are bad.
Not always.
They are in this circumstance, though. You're saying that tariffs don't always do that. They're definitely doing it right now.
In which circumstance? Please tell me which circumstance you're talking about.
The circumstance of Donald Trump's tariffs in which he's imposing our allies.
Which tariff?
Mexico,
on which country? All of them? You don't support any of
these impacts has been boycotts from other countries, counter tariffs from other countries, reduction in consumer confidence in America, potential 3% recess in our GDP in the first financial quarter of 2025, drops in the stock market, increasing levels of income inequity, and global chaos. Those are the bad outcomes of the tariffs that Donald Trump is implementing right now. And because if we were to take the relevant alternative of merely investing into the manufacturing sector of our country, none of these bad outcomes would occur, meaning that the tariffs produce unnecessary harm to achieve an end goal, meaning that they're bad.
Yes. You can speak and say all these words, brother, but it's not saying anything. I'm looking at results. I'm looking at what Trump did in his first term. His tariffs boosted the steel and aluminum industry in 2018.
Listen.
Steel and aluminum tariffs they kept.
Listen. You're saying that you're okay with the harm now produced by tariffs because you think they yield long-term gain. What I'm saying is that investing into manufacturing sector in America right now also yield long-term gain, but produce no bad outcomes now, meaning that the tariffs create bad, unnecessary harm when compared to its relevant alternative.
No.
Meaning that tariffs are an antiquated, bad plan.
No, not when other countries have an unfair advantage, brother, because they're using low wages than we can do. You have to put a tax on those competitive advantage so that people have American jobs in America.
So you're saying that investing into the manufacturing sector of our country right now will not and like
It'll help. It's
okay,
it's a
help?
synergistic effect. It's a synergistic effect
Okay,
to
what,
do this.
do you think it'd be
Invest
less
in the
efficient
economy
helping?
and
Do you
put
think
some
it'd be,
tariffs to
do you
help
think it'd be
even the
less
playing
efficient
field.
at helping compared to tariffs?
Bro, I think they are synergistic when they work together. You invest in your
Oh my
manufacturing
God. No,
and
I'm saying what is better? What is better for long-term production of goods in America?
I think a good combination and balance of both.
Okay. So what, in other words, what you're saying is that you don't support Donald Trump's blanket tariffs plan because there's a better plan, such as a combination of isolated tariffs and investment into the manufacturing sector that is significantly better, meaning that overall his economic policy is bad.
His blanket tariffs on Canada and Mexico aren't about GDP growth, though. We talked about this. It's about the F word.
They still hurt our country.
You know what hurts our country is the #1 killer of people ages 18 through 45.
And where,
That's what hurts.
And where do those individuals that die because of those drugs get the drugs from? Do they get it from Canada? No. Less than 1% of that F word that comes into America comes from Canada. Most of these individuals are getting it from hospitals. Most of these individuals are getting it on prescription. Most of these individuals are getting it from people on the streets. Most of these individuals are not getting it from fucking imports from Canada. Now, that doesn't mean that it doesn't impact the American economy in a negative way, and there's a significantly better way to achieve said end goal.
I will give you the argument that only 1% comes through the Canadian border, but what happens when you lock down the southern border and it's impossible to get it through the southern border? Where do you think it's going to? You got to have a strong...
Wait. What has Donald Trump done to stop the majority import of DRUGS over the southern border?
He's declared a national emergency, put funding. He's put a Navy battleship down in the Gulf. Like they are
to combat what? Undocumented migrants, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but 85% of the drugs that come into our country across the southern border are brought by citizens. What has he done ever about that? Ever. Name one thing that Donald Trump did during his first administration, Donald Trump has done during his second administration, or wants to do during his second administration to crack down on these citizens bringing the DRUGS across the southern border.
But do you know who the citizens get it from? They get it from the cartels.
Yeah,
and that's
but then they bring it across the border. So what is he doing to address the citizens at the border?
He's addressing the source that the citizens get it from.
By what? Label him a fucking word? I thought that you guys were the people that thought sticks and stones couldn't break your bones, right? But words will never hurt, okay? What has he done to address the cartels? Call them fucking terrorists, right?
No, he's pretty much like making us go to war with them. Like creating, when you do that, you have a military presence down there. That's why there's a Navy battleship.
Oh yeah, a Navy battleship in the Gulf is going to stop U.S. citizens coming across land on the southern border into our country.
If you dismantle the cartels, then yeah, they will have nobody to get it from.
I'm so sorry. How does a Navy battleship in the Gulf dismantle any cartel?
Because it has technology to have surveillance of what's going on. They are assessing the problem. They are in the middle.
What are they assessing? Like specifically, what are they doing? How are they dismantling
the cartels and their movements and how they're going to take them out?
How is Donald Trump going to take them out?
With the military.
So he's going to start a war with Mexico.
No, with the cartels.
On what land? On what land?
Did you see the Mexican government already handed over like 20 of the most dangerous cartel leaders that they just handed over?
Ryan, I just want to say, like, you like came on the live and you were like, dude, you guys are running away from us because like you guys are getting destroyed by us. And like this whole time, Ryan, it's like, dude, were you just saying that?
What are you talking about? I'm cooking you with actual critical thought and facts right now.
What critical thought and facts?
Of exactly what Trump's doing and why they make sense.
I have a question. What do we have more control over? Cartels on Mexican soil or borders on American soil?
Brother,
answer my question.
We're about to find out. I don't know.
No. You don't know if we have more control over American soil or Mexican soil?
Oh yeah, we have more control over American soil.
So we have more control over borders on American soil than cartels on Mexican soil, right?
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
But there's only so much you can do with the border.
So if we have more control over what happens at our borders compared to what happens on Mexican soil, how come Donald Trump has never tried to assert that fact by legislating upon the citizens trafficking the DRUGS across the southern border?
Bro, they have all the technology in the world down there trying to do it, but it's still getting through.
But they still have more control over the southern border. No, he's never done anything to slow the entry of DRUGS at the hand of citizens. He's only ever focused on undocumented migrants and immigrants from other countries.
He has created extra funding by declaring it a national emergency, which gives them more money.
compared to Trump's administration. And when I asked you about this declaration of a state of a national emergency, you specifically said that this is being used to address the influx of undocumented migrants coming into America. Nothing to do with citizens coming across the border.
I didn't say nothing to do with it. It's both, my friend.
Okay,
It's
so tell me the
all
specific
problems at the
provisions in
border.
which have been implemented by the Trump administration to crack down on citizens through legal ports of entry, bringing DRUGS into America. Be very specific.
No, I don't, brother. Fund money.
Tell me where that money has gone to crack down on it. Tell me how much money.
I don't
and where
have a
it's gone to crack
breakdown
down
of the
on it.
accounting sheet, so this is what you guys do.
I asked for specifics. Yeah, that is what I do. Yeah.
Well, do you have specifics exactly where the money's going?
I'm not making a claim about where the money's going. Why would I need to know the specifics?
Because you are making a claim that it's not going to the citizens that are crossing
I'm
at the
asking you
border.
to show me where it is going to.
It just makes sense that if you increase funding at the border, that it's going to help all the provisions of the
so
border.
what funding to where to crack down on
I
what
trust
citizens?
them with protecting the border with the money. I trust Tom Homan to run a good operation.
What is the increase in the money sent to legal?
Did you see that
to
the
legal ports of entry to crack down on citizens?
Do you know what the Godaway is?
It's something that doesn't revolve around citizens, and I'm talking about citizens coming across the southern border, with 85 to 90% of the DRUGS coming into America. What is the funding that has been granted to what agencies to further crack down on that? In what manner? With what response?
You tell me, my friend. I just know that
you don't fucking know. So then you don't know anything that Donald Trump has done.
You don't know. I'm just letting you know.
Why do I need to know anything about the claim you're making? Stop shifting the burden of proof to provide evidence for the words that come out of your mouth onto me.
It's just common sense. If you declare a national emergency and you increase the funding and you have a military presence down there and all the border encounters and border crossings are going way down, obviously they're doing something.
Military presence to combat who?
Combat anybody that's bringing over
undocumented migrants.
It's not only migrants, bro. It's whoever is bringing over the F word. That is the main crisis that we are having. It's a national emergency.
Show me. So then give me one provision, one action taken to address the citizens at the southern border.
Brother.
You don't have any, so then stop saying it. You can't just say common sense.
It is common sense. I mean,
Jesus Christ. Yeah, that's what you say when you don't have any evidence for anything. You're like, oh, I think it's commonsensical to believe that Donald Trump has done nothing about the citizens coming across our southern border with DRUGS because he has spent his entire campaign for both terms of his presidency and both presidencies just focusing on undocumented migrants and immigrants from other countries. And he's never once mentioned in any press conference ever anything to do with the citizens bringing the DRUGS into our country. Could you seriously give me one clip of Donald Trump ever mentioning citizens bringing DRUGS into America across the southern border? Ever?
I'm sure we could find it if we really looked at the accounting sheets.
No, I'm just talking about Donald Trump at a press conference saying there's citizens coming across our southern border with DRUGS and we got to do something about it. Give me one clip of Trump ever doing that.
All right, it's the Task Force on Crime Reduction and Public Safety through Executive Order 13776. There you go.
Ryan, I do have a question. Have you ever been busted by law enforcement for trafficking DRUGS ever?
Yes. Not the F word though. The M word, which is legal and considered medicine in 45 states. So yeah. And something I know both of you guys partake in. So don't take the high road.
I'm just saying
Don't take the high road on me.
Are you admitting that the U.S. citizens are the ones doing the trafficking?
Not of the F word. I've never touched or seen. But I've had friends of mine actually pass away because
all the reason I asked that question for
unknowingly had the F word.
It was not what substance it was. It was just that you were the citizen doing that, right?
No, I think the substance that it was is very important that we talk about because both of you guys partake in the exact same substance. So don't take the high road.
I'm not taking a hard high road with that. I'm just simply saying
Wait, what did he just say?
It is the case that people are trafficking in the United States, right? Who are U.S. citizens.
Wait, what did you just say? That we're partaking in that substance?
Yep.
No, he's talking about Mary Jane, because that's what he got caught by law enforcement for trafficking.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah, well, I do, but I'm not like trying to play like a moral high ground saying that like that's a bad substance.
I know,
I'm
but you just
acknowledging
thought you
that the
you thought you
trafficking
could
is
cite them.
done.
Oh,
I was just acknowledging that the trafficking is done by like U.S. citizens.
Is this the guess that was caught with 100 pounds?
Allegedly 170.
That is a wild amount, Ryan.
Dude, holy
I'm an avid
fucking
user, and that's
shit.
a wild amount. That is a wild, diabolical
Holy
level.
fucking shit. You suck. No, why are you laughing at this? Why you suck? You can't be sitting on this live telling me that undocumented migrants are the issue, immigrants from Mexico are the issue. Meanwhile, you are a fucking U.S. citizen that got caught with 170 pounds.
Yeah,
Dude, 170 pounds is diabolical. That weighs more
something
than
that's
me.
completely legal in over half the states.
Ryan. I'm just gonna be honest. That weighs more than me.
Yeah,
it's just gonna be crazy. That's a diabolical level.
Yeah, it is.
It better not have been anything cut with like vitamin E tape.
And you could have used all of it, and it wouldn't have killed you.
Well, technically, where you get that from is when you are inhaling like I'm going to say vapor. I'm going to assume that everyone knows what I'm talking about. Just got to stay safe for TikTok. You just can't inhale the vapor fast enough for it to lead you to an OD. But the reason why it is harmful to perpetuate that is because there's other ways to consume it apart from the quote unquote vapor that can lead to very negative outcomes, such as an OD.
Sure.
Yo, Chance, thank you so much for the $50 YouTube super chat. Thank you so much, Chance. Give me some W's for Chance in the comment section right now for the $50 YouTube super chat. Thank you so much, Chance. W's for Chance in the comment section right now.
See, I just don't think Mary Jane is a negative.
Minnie, thank you for the $10 over on YouTube super chat, and Yoshi.
I'm not even arguing
well.
that.
Thank
you.
I'm not arguing that. What I'm arguing is that like it's U.S. citizens that are doing it, and then you are the evidence of that.
Darren, thank you for the $5
Not
on Vimeo.
of the
Dylan
F
with the
word,
$5.
that's what we're
Drew,
mainly
thank you so much
talking
for the $15 on Vimeo.
I know, but we're talking about illegal substances.
I'm specifically talking about the F word.
Oh God.
Because that's what's killing America. That's the crisis. That's why we're in a crisis. Because
I understand, but I'm saying the action of doing the trafficking, right?
Sure.
You doing it is just evidence that it is like people in the United States doing it, even if it's considered illegal. Does it make sense? Because the place where you got accountable for it, it was illegal, right? I don't think it should have been illegal because we're talking about Mary Jane.
Right.
Right. But obviously, like that's not the point that I was comparing in this context.
Sure.
Because again, I have no issue with that. I am elevated all the time.
Yes, same.
You know, my fun fact about me. So my uncle died from an F-word OD, and I almost lost my mother from an F-word OD as well. So I mean, I'm like very personally impacted. And you know, they both got that stuff from hospitals on a prescription, and I think that is a completely separate angle to kind of evaluate the issue from. Is it's really not just DRUGS that are coming into our country, insofar as what we need to address to effectively solve the crisis, but it's like also it has a lot to do with hospitals in America, malpractice by doctors, and other sources outside of the things coming across the border, especially when we would consider the fact that a disproportionate amount of DRUGS coming into America are brought by citizens. And it's like, you know, when you tell me that, oh, Donald Trump is really cracking down on this by getting Canada, who's responsible for less than like 1% or 0.01% of that substance coming into our country to appoint an advisor. And this is a great win against the ODRUG crisis. Like, I don't know. I think it kind of demeans a lot of the more systemic causes of the crisis, the reason why people are on it, where it's coming from, who's bringing it into our country, etc. And I think that we're going to need a significantly more comprehensive approach to really solve this crisis and stop the deaths of individuals from said substances. Additionally, I don't understand how we got here, because I was talking to you about how tariffs are bad for our country and there's other things that we could do that are better for our country than tariffs. And then here we are talking about this.
Yo, Riley, thank you so much for the $11. Thank you so much. They said 170 pounds is insane. I'm a heavy gardener, and I can't imagine that.
And I see a lot of people saying, like, legal DRUGS from a pharmacy. Dude, I'm telling you, yes. You get for instance, you could get like patches of it legally.
Yeah, I just want to say I empathize. I didn't know that something that affected you like that, so I feel really bad about that. So I am sorry about your personal experiences with that, and I do also apologize for coming in so hot. Like, I'm coming for respectful conversation. I've just felt like that was the only way to get in the door because I've already had a conversation with each of you. But as far as the next point goes, I don't know, unless you guys want to stay on that point of immigration and the tariffs.
Somebody in the chat said it's not the same thing. It is the same thing. It is the same thing. I've read the old prescriptions, chat. F drug. Yes, it is the same thing. It is. Okay, Ryan, is there anything else you want to talk about?
Sure. I mean, the energy independence. You keep saying that Biden and Harris had higher energy numbers than Trump did.
Yeah.
But these are a trend that Trump started with his investments, his deregulation, and all the long-term investments that he created that carried on into the Biden administration. Biden administration tried to block. He tried to block the leases on the federal lands.
No, we're talking about permits they signed into law. 50% more drilling permits signed into law under the Biden-Harris administration.
But they were investments and deals that Trump had made that he signed.
I want to make it incredibly clear that this was not the continuance of a trend from Trump's admin. In fact, I just want to make this incredibly. I don't really attribute this to Trump, but it's still worth going over. The highest level of crude oil production in America under Trump's term was at 12.9 thousand barrels of oil per day in November of 2019. When Biden and Harris stepped into office, we were down to like just over 10,000 barrels of oil per day because of the impact that COVID had on domestic markets.
Yes.
So they didn't just merely like continue a trend of super high levels of production under Trump. In fact, it was very low production than when they walked in, specifically because of the pandemic.
No, they had to make the deal because there was so much oil stockpiling that they didn't have any more room for it. So that's why they had to cut down production. So that's why it looks like Biden had this huge, but these were long. Anybody that knows about the oil industry knows that there's long-term deals that are made in this, and there's a lag effect. And
Trump made bad deals for oil when he was in office.
No, how can you say that when?
I can explain to you
how can you say that when you go to the EIA website? We became the first time we've ever been an exporter instead of an importer of oil. First time in 75 years. So how can you say that?
I can tell you how. So the reason that Donald Trump made really bad oil deals under Trump, under his administration, was because he went between countries like Saudi Arabia and Venezuela and said that, well, I'm going to go buy oil from Venezuela if you, Saudi Arabia, doesn't sell me more oil for lower prices. And then he'd go to Venezuela and he'd be like, I'm going to go to Saudi Arabia if you, Venezuela, don't sell me oil for lower prices. And the next thing he knew, he's getting so much foreign oil for very low prices that it was just going to absolutely fucking crash U.S. oil production because all of a sudden, nobody had any reason to buy oil from U.S. producers because it was so much cheaper from producers outside of America. And it was so bad that he had to go back to OPEC and beg them to make less oil so it costs more to stabilize domestic markets.
I mean, do you have a source for that? I mean, sometimes you guys just go on these narratives. It's just like your own,
yeah, sure, man.
Viewpoint of it.
No, sure, man. How about I give you like 5, but it's going to take me a minute and I can post them in my Discord after our conversation because I'm getting my information from a sheet that me and my buddy IRL made right after the end of his admin, specifically about his terrible deals that he negotiated on oil. So yeah, I could sit here and on Google.
How did we become the first exporter ever?
What?
Or how come we became energy independent for the first time in 75 years?
It just didn't happen. That's not true.
Why does it say on the EIA website, the WhiteHouse.gov website, LA
under the
Times,
Biden-Harris administration that we were more
under
energy
Trump
independent?
administration?
Just not true. We were more energy independent under the Biden-Harris administration.
On a trend that Trump created for the first time
again, you keep saying that he created the trend, but we just went over that. We had that conversation. D Squad, think of the $5. Thank you so much, and Dylan, think of the $5. Happy birthday to Riley and Laxton.
To be fair, Ryan, you did already make that claim, and I did already dispute it.
Happy birthday.
And they just kind of say it again.
No, because because of the deregulation that Trump gave the oil industry, that's what gave people confidence to invest in our oil companies during the Trump administration. And Biden got
Wait,
the
we had more investment into manufacturing, including oil and energy under under Biden and Harris's administration. I want to make that clear. And then you just say it's a continuing of the trend. No, dude, COVID fucked that trend. We didn't just reap the gains off of
COVID
the
did.
great
Trump
economy.
did not.
I know, but that just means that there was no continued trend of prosperous oil and gas production at the beginning of Biden-Harris administration because they walked into a fucked industry by COVID. They made the trends. They had like nothing. They had terrible conditions when they walked into office. They didn't just pick off great conditions from Trump.
Bro, the day Biden got into office, he put a pause on oil and gas leasing on federal lands and offshore waters.
So yeah,
And
but then he approved
and then in
50%.
the last month,
But then they approved 50% more permits onshore drilling sites, which led to the highest level of domestic crude oil production in America ever.
no, because he tried to do that, but he got blocked by the federal judge in Louisiana. So if he would have gotten what he wanted, he was trying everything to reduce what happened, but he got blocked. So he didn't get what he wanted, and that's why we had the most oil.
He was refocusing efforts. He was refocusing efforts on onshore drilling compared to offshore drilling, and it was very successful. That's why he approved significantly more permits than Trump, and we made more oil than we ever have been before. Is there anything else you want to go over, man, before we move on to our next guest?
Oh, I'm not okay. Just remember that you said I was gonna run with my tail between my legs. I'm not going anywhere. I got plenty more to talk about. So if you want to move on, that's on you.
When I
brother.
say that, that's when you came up here and you're like, Dean, you're a stupid grifter that can't debate.
I say
typically
that
the people that come up and say that are like super lame and they just stay here to like be cringe and talk shit.
Sure.
Here, let me ask you a question, because I guess since you have more that you want to talk about. Would you ever support a president that wants to ethnically cleanse?
I don't support everything that Trump does.
That's not what I asked.
It depends. It depends on the context for me.
It depends?
Yeah.
So you're saying sometimes you'd support a president that wants to ethnically cleanse millions of people?
Well, I have to be honest with myself because I do support a president that has said he wants to ethnically cleanse.
Would you ever support a rapist president that wants to ethnically cleanse 2.1 million people that also tried to coup our country, rig the outcome of a presidential election, serving as the largest internal threat to the American democracy since the Civil War?
Brother, I don't think wanting fair and stable elections is like super unheard of or
Wait, that's not a threat to democracy at all. But that's just not what Trump did. Trump sent fake slates of electorates to 7 different key swing states to cast fake certificates of ascertainment to Congress to install himself as president when he lost.
Yeah, I don't know. He
admitted to that in court, by the way.
Yeah, I don't support everything he's done.
So that's the largest internal attack on our democracy since the Civil War.
That's subjective.
What's a bigger internal attack on an American democracy since the Civil War, apart from trying to silence the voice and the vote of every single person?
He didn't go to the Capitol himself. It was a situation that got out of hand due to neglect.
I'm not even talking about the insurrection on the Capitol. I'm talking about his fake electorate plot. Please keep up here. He sent fake slates of electorates to try to install himself as the president, voiding the real outcome of the election, silencing the vote of everybody.
I think he thinks that, and I think that the elections are questionable. The numbers that came in on them.
Are you saying that Biden rigged 2020?
I don't know what happened, but
I do.
What do you mean you don't know,
statistical, man? There's statistical anomalies. He can still believe something happened, and still something could have happened. But
okay, who do you think won the 2020 election?
Well, Biden won.
Okay. So then Donald Trump
was there good evidence? Yeah. So.
But I'm not 100% convinced that there wasn't interference or something going on.
Do you think it was rigged?
I think there's a chance.
What makes you think that it was rigged?
The anomaly of the numbers that year. Being a numbers guy, I like to look at numbers and the anomaly.
What anomaly?
Of how many votes came out for Biden that year.
What? That's not like that much of an anomaly.
Yeah, if you compare it to previous elections, it was a pretty crazy jump.
There's a 6 million difference between this election and the previous one in terms of votes for the Democratic side.
There's also didn't Trump get the most votes that any Republican had ever gotten? There's also an anomaly then.
Yeah, like that's obviously an anomaly as well.
Yeah. Okay, well, I mean, that's something that really can't be proven.
So do you agree and
either
concede
way.
that Trump tried to steal the election from Biden?
The Democrats had questions about the 2016 election, so these
Yeah,
questioning
but they
the
didn't try to
election-
fucking steal it. They just took it to the Supreme Court, taking the proper legal channels as anybody who contends the outcome of election should. I have no issue with that. That's why I don't shit on Clinton, and that's why I don't shit on Al Gore. But I shit on Trump because he didn't take the proper legal channels. He just literally tried to steal it from Biden with fake votes in Congress and pressuring the DOJ into falsely announcing widespread voter fraud. So you support this guy that serves as the largest internal attack on American democracy since the Civil War, and has called for the termination of the Constitution, and disrespects constitutional rights, and disrespects due process, and pardons cop beaters that drove stun guns into the necks of cops on January 6th to let them roam in the streets, and wants to personally ethnically cleanse 2.1 million people off the Gaza Strip. This guy is a lunatic.
I'm not supporting all of the decisions. I don't support the blanket pardons on violent.
I know, but like all these things I'm giving you, like these should be red lines. Why are these things not red lines?
Because I think the future of America is more important, and that's all I'm focusing on policies and how we're positioning ourselves for the next coming century for having a better life for my children.
Wait, would you still vote for Trump if he just straight up wanted to like reinstitute slavery in every other country on earth?
What?
If he still had the same policy as today?
No, I don't believe so. No.
Okay, so you have like red lines, like you want to vote for him if you wanted to reinstitute slavery in every other country on the face of planet fucking Earth. So then why is like ethnic cleansing in the largest internal attack on our democracy since the Civil War not enough?
The situation in the Middle East is very complicated, and it has just been nothing but bloodshed and murder and terrorism for 80 straight years. No one has come up with a good plan. They don't see each other's, they don't believe in each other's right to exist on the face of the earth. Something needs to be done eventually.
By the way, Parker, I'm getting my laptop turned on to text you back.
Lesser of two evils type of situation, because if you support what's been going on there for 80 years.
Yeah, I really just want to move on, but I mean, this guy says like, do you have anything valuable to say here? Like, you're not really saying shit, dude.
I'm saying a lot. What do you mean?
No, you're just saying ethnic cleansing is okay if conflict has existed for 80 years prior. Like what?
Okay. I mean, something needs to be done, and he's the only one coming up with fresh ideas. So
wait, you think that ethnic cleansing is a fresh idea? This has been Israel's idea from the fucking get-go, Ryan. What?
Brother, what's your idea?
Wait, why are you asking me what my idea is? Address the fucking point. You said that this was a fresh idea. Israel's
How about we start
already
with
been
not
trying
ethnically cleansing Palestinians?
How about we make sure people stop killing each other in the tens of thousands?
That would include that same argument, right? Obviously, we would want to like kill innocent people, but wouldn't that mean that we'd want also not to ethnically cleanse the Palestinian population?
Ideally, yeah, I don't know.
You don't
like
know?
Said,
I'm sorry. I'm going to kick you off for that. Like, I'm so sorry. If you're just like agnostic.
Run and hide, then. Run and hide.
You think that, Ryan, you're so annoying. You think that I'm running and hiding from you? You're crazy. You
Dean's
just said
taking the rage bait.
You just said that you don't know if ethnic cleansing is like, you're agnostic on the morality of the forceful expulsion of 2.1 million people from their home. And
are you agnostic on the morality of children dying?
And I want to kick you.
Are you agnostic on the morality of kids dying?
No.
No.
Okay.
Wrong.
Well, okay. If ethnically cleansing people reduce the people of children, or reduce the amount of children dying by the tens of thousands.
You have no evidence to indicate that ethnically cleansing the population reduced the amount of people dying. So are you saying that Jewish people should have been ethnically cleansed prior to the Holocaust?
No, I'm not saying that. It doesn't have the same history as this of 80 years of children dying senselessly.
Okay, so if there's 80 years of people dying, then you'd be okay with it.
Be okay with trying something drastic because there's obviously an emergency going on that needs to happen to protect those kids.
So you're willing to ethnically cleanse people.
Are Ukrainian kids dying at the hand of Russia?
Do you understand the lesser of two evils and what that means?
Wait, are
understand that
Ukrainian
concept?
children dying at the hands of Russia?
Not for 80 years.
Are they dying now?
Yeah.
So would you be okay with ethnically cleansing Ukraine?
No, because
so why is it okay to ethnically cleanse Palestinians because they're dying?
There's
but
other
it's not
alternatives.
okay. Oh, there's other alternatives. Is there another
try
alternative?
it. They have tried.
There are kids dying, Ryan.
They have
kids
tried all
dying.
the
So
alternatives
we
in the
need to
Middle East,
ethnically
my
cleanse
friend.
those kids.
They have tried peace deals. They have tried everything.
Yeah.
This is a
and
last
nothing,
resort.
and nothing's worked. This is a last resort for Ukraine. We just have to ethnically cleanse them.
No, this is a last resort for the Middle East.
No,
we can
this
try
is the last
alternatives
resort for
with
Ukraine.
It's
and
the last
Russia.
resort for Ukraine and Russia.
Yeah, we tried
it's not.
ignoring it when they annexed Crimea in 2014, and they just still wanted more. We tried to figure out a treaty with them in the 90s with the Budapest Memorandum to let Russia know that there was a red line, and they just still
So
wanted
to stop
more.
the killing, we have to ethnically cleanse the Ukrainians. Is that your view?
No, because if this goes on for 80 more years, I think we have got to look at other options. But the Middle East and the Ukraine situation are completely different situations.
Let me guess. Another option isn't to just dismantle the IDF and restructure the state of Israel. Yeah.
Good luck.
That's not involved.
Well, not at all.
He said
of
good luck.
course.
You see?
Of course. Yeah. All right. We're gonna move on. Everyone, if you're in that queue, make sure that means that you voted for Trump. We're gonna get our next guest up here right now. We got Red Bull loading into the live as we speak. Posse, thank you so much for the $5 over on YouTube Super Chat. Bad Brothers with a 2. And Anissa, thank you so much for the $10. I do really appreciate that, Anissa. Yoshi with a 7, D Squad with a 5, and Will with a 5 as well. I do appreciate you guys. This guy's literally sleeping. By the way, y'all, I'm going to be on MSNBC later.
That is insane. We'll react. Can I react to it on live? Would they allow it or no?
Yeah, if you want. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be super entertaining.
What the fuck do you mean you don't know if it's going to be super entertaining? Dean fucking Withers is on MSNBC. You don't think the chat's going to be entertained?
But they've asked me to come up and essentially talk about really random things.
Okay. Well, I mean, do you not want me to watch it?
No, if you want to, feel free. I know it'll be a good watch. I'm just
should we? Yeah, I feel like that'd be a fun live.
Should I I don't know. Actually, at some point, I kind of want to consult the Discord or something afterwards because they want me to talk about things that I don't know anything about. I guess I got to do some research on what the fuck they want me to talk about. Something to do with Elon's involvement in China. I don't know.
You should be doing research right now, low key.
Yeah, low key. We'll probably be on here for another
low key,
hour,
dude. How many? You need to actually study for this. This isn't like a
Nigger.
This isn't a test you take at school. By the way, the person's name is. I have their name, so.
Pooh Shiesty Roblox with 29,000 followers, meaning that's their main account. At Pooh Shiesty Roblox.
They're fucked.
Yeah, they're fucked.
They're
man.
fucked.
No,
they're fucked.
They're fucked. Moving on to the next guest, Pooh Shiesty Roblox. It is POOH Shiesty Roblox with about 28,000 followers on the main account. Moving on to the next guest, you guys. If you're watching and you want to support me, you can find my Venmo and my PayPal in the link tree in the bio. You already know. I get 100% of the proceeds on those platforms alongside YouTube Super Chats. If you're watching on YouTube and you want to support me, you can find the Venmo and the PayPal in the pinned message.
Oh, and wait. So MSNBC told you what you're going to talk about before?
Yeah. I got some blocks. I have 4 blocks. I'm going to be up there 4 times to talk about stuff.
That's cool.
Yep. Pretty neat. I definitely do need to do some research. And I'm going to be on at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Mountain, 7 p.m. Central.
Okay, we'll pull you up on the stream. I can play MSNBC live, right?
I mean, I don't know.
You don't know? Okay, so then I shouldn't do it.
Well, I mean, I don't see why not. Everybody's always clipping news broadcasts and including it in their YouTube videos, TikTok videos, etc. I don't think anything would happen to you if you did it.
Whole explanation.
Yeah, I'll think about it.
Hey, howdy, man.
Chilling, bro. How you?
I said, how old are you?
Oh, I'm 26, bro.
Nice, man.
Did you vote for Donald Trump?
Anyways, I'm doing pretty good.
No, but I'm trying to get through to my dad, bro. And my dad been pissing me off. I can't even talk to him about it. So I wanted some advice about they're so
Here, be live.
How do I explain it?
I promise to you that you will objectively get better advice and more advice if you join my Discord and you go into any of the chats.
All right, bro.
110%. Have a good one, B-Lev.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah. The reason I say that is because we'd be rushed because we want to be able to get back to the Trump debates, debating Trump supporters, and you won't be able to fully flesh out your dad's thoughts, your thoughts on your dad, etc., etc., etc. But if you join that Discord, you'll be able to talk to like 100 of the most base people that have ever existed for like as long as you want. What's up, Connor? Did you vote for Trump?
That's actually
Dean Parker!
How do you keep getting up here, bro? The luck's crazy.
They just know exactly what names. They know that we always just like auto select Connors.
No, bro, they know how to play the game. Yeah, they know how to
Dude,
game
we
the
just
system.
auto. I didn't even think about it that way. I didn't even think like, oh, I'm gonna select a Connor. That's just the first person I look to select.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. All right, moving on to the next guest, y'all. Here we go. Can't even do it. I don't even know how they do it. How do they do it? I just don't know, man. We gotta move on to the next guest, y'all. Riley! Thank you for the $5 on Venmo saying for the Evil Dean commemoration fund. Memorial fund. Goodbye. By the way, I'll probably be on for another hour and a half.
Hour and a half. I was probably gonna start here pretty soon myself. Wendy, I appreciate the $10. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Who's that talking? Yo, Ji Woon, how old are you?
That's what I was thinking, Wendy.
I'm 19 years old.
Ah, you're a kid. Guys, if you're in that queue, make sure that it means that you voted for Trump. Please, we are only looking for Trump supporters to debate. I know that we've gotten pretty lax on those rules. We haven't repeated them as much, but please just respect the rules, bro. I beg. Please just respect the rules of the stream, you guys. Fucking please, man. As well as go and drop a MAGA down below in that comment section over here on TikTok. If you want to come up and debate, we'll get you up on a live. That'd be very, very fun, quite frankly. But just kind of give us a moment to get the next guest up in here. Doesn't look like we have too many people spamming MAGA. Not too many people that want to come up and join, but we have the next guest.
Yo, Parker, how do you like the view bots that I sent to your TikTok? How do you like them?
Wait, why did you do that?
No, that was to TikTok.
Bro,
have you
because you're a Kamala supporter, that's why.
Have you had your TikTok view-botted, Parker?
Yeah, look at his TikTok.
Why'd you do that though? Like, how much money did you spend?
It's like it doesn't cost much. Like, I'm rich, so
Okay, he's
it doesn't
lying. He's just trolling.
A total lie.
Okay, if I'm lying, I'll send them again right now. Upload a video, Parker. I'll do it.
Oh,
I don't want you to.
Wait,
if
video
you do
views?
that.
Video views?
Yeah, look at his TikTok.
Oh, yeah, video views aren't as expensive.
I'm the one that's doing the YouTube bots as well. Do you want me to do it right now?
No, I'd say that you should just stop wasting your money.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm rich. Why would I? I'm bored.
Just send it to me.
Yeah, just donate the money to us instead. Venmo, PayPal.
All right, how much do you want? What's your PayPal?
And my PayPal is in the link tree in my bio. You can just look it up. It's Parker Get a Job. $5,000.
I'll gift you on TikTok. How about that?
Gotcha. That works. That works.
All right. Have a good day, you too.
Got you.
All right. Bye.
We're going to move on to the next guest. Everyone just give us a minute. We got Roxanne loading up into the box. You know, just give me some money too, Jordan. Please!
You know, someone owes me $200,000. Someone
What?
bet me $200,000 on the live.
Yeah,
and I knew I was right, so I took it. I was like,
yeah.
And he's like, I bet you don't have $200,000. And I'm like, I will after I win this. And he never sent it, so I don't have the $200,000.
Yeah, I think I'm probably owed a couple G's as well.
That was the biggest one I've done so far.
200K. That's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money.
Well, I know I was right.
Yeah.
You look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, I'm right.
Yo, Rachel, thank you for the $10 super chat over on YouTube. Saying, Dean, you're doing great work. We love you. I love you too, Rachel. Thank you for the $10. That's very kind. We're just still looking for that next debater. Literally nobody wants to come up here and debate. Okay, you guys are terrified. Quite frankly, it's true. Yoshi with a 3.
I think that last person was lying.
Everyone do just kind of give us a minute, y'all. Just looking for that next guest. Here we go, y'all. We got Chris loading up in. Just looking for a debate. Everybody. Yeah. Someone in the YouTube stream says, drop into the super chat caller if you're so rich. Yeah, no, for real. Yo, Brian, thank you for the $10 super chat over on YouTube saying, Dean and Parker, you rock. Dean, check your business inquiries email. Don't worry, Brian. We check everything in there. It does take us a while to get around to some, but I promise I will get around to yours. Hello, Mason. Did you vote for Trump?
Hannah, thank you so much for the $25 on PayPal. Thank you so much, Hannah. Can we get some W's for Hannah in the comment section right now? Thank you so much, Hannah. I really appreciate it. And Sid with the $100 on YouTube Super Chat. Thank you so much, Sid. Can we get some W's for Sid in the comment section for the $100 on YouTube Super Chat? Thank you so much.
Feral Poo, did you vote for Trump?
Is that his
Absolutely
French?
voted for Trump and
Thank you,
voted for
Sid.
Trump every
W's
day.
for Sid.
W's for Sid. W's for Sid. All right, Farrell, why'd you do it? Why'd you vote for Trump?
I think we can see it every day. We're winning every day ever since he's been reelected. And
I don't know
this
about that.
time, the gloves are off. We're no longer going to be
No.
sitting around waiting for the deep state to
I have a
strike
feeling they
back.
better
We're
leave.
gonna win.
I feel like you're about to like run away. I don't know why, but were you winning when like we had the quickest drops in the stock market since 2008?
I think we have a lot of things that we had to fix from the last 12 years of Democrats, and you can see the
You're
Democrats
trolling.
are totally in disarray. And
Wait,
I
wait,
can't
wait,
believe
Farrell!
what Trump
Literally,
has been
right
able to
before
accomplish
the
in less than
inauguration.
100 days.
Wait,
and
wait,
the only thing
wait.
that they can do is lawfare and continue to stop
Right
agendas
before the
that need to be
inauguration, the Atlanta Fed projected a 4% growth in our GDP in the first financial quarter of 2025. Now they're projecting a 3% recess. Was that a W?
Economic data that's been falsified by Biden for so many
They're
years. We
trolling,
can't
they're
even be honest about what the current unemployment rate was.
The Atlanta
We
Fed
can't be
is a
honest
private
about so many
organization.
things. But so many things are going to change, and they've been changing. We've already stopped illegal immigration. The entry into the United States is down almost 98%. We are moving forward with saving money because we're finding so many things we're spending wasteful money on. That
Can you
it's
give me
just
any evidence
ridiculous.
that the Biden-Harris administration falsified economic data?
Oh, they always do, but every administration does. Don't think that anybody is any different.
Can
The
you
only
give me
difference
can you
is
give me the
Trump
evidence
doesn't
they
have
did?
to be owned by anybody.
Can you give me the
You
evidence
know,
that they did?
Oh, I mean, anybody that can look at a job report and see how it's revised consistently, or how GDP has been revised down consistently, because we don't count people properly. We don't count how people are out of the
Farrell,
workforce.
can I ask
We
you a
don't count.
question?
There's so many different ways we can do it. So
What is
I mean,
what is the deep
yes.
state?
What is the deep state? I mean, we see it now. We got bureaucrats that are basically barricading themselves inside of offices because the president, who's exercising his authority to get rid of them, they don't want to leave. They go to judges. They shop around to judges that are going to be sympathetic because they were put in by, Democratic presidents. And a district court judge thinks they can stop the president of the United States. That makes no sense in any reality. And he's going to win. He's going to win on appeal.
I'm still waiting. What is the deep state?
The deep state is any of the unelected bureaucrats that have been installed for so many
Like
years.
Elon
for so many
Musk?
programs.
Like Elon
Huh?
Musk?
The deep state is not Elon Musk.
So is Elon Musk a part
is
of the deep
patriot that's
state?
trying to make us better.
Wait, but he's
I mean,
an
we
unelected
need to-
bureaucrat.
we need to get a grip.
Wait,
there's
you
so
need
many
to get a
things.
grip. Elon Musk is an unelected bureaucrat.
Elon Musk is doing what the president asked.
Wait, isn't that what every other unelected bureaucrat has done that you
that's
just
why-
said was
but
terrible?
Trump has taken out the unelected bureaucrats he doesn't want anymore.
And
Just
by
like
the
any
way,
other
Jackie
administration
with the
could.
50
Trump
pounds
is the
thinking they said
man right
sup,
now.
it's
He
me,
gets to
Jordan.
choose.
Hey,
Huh?
Wait, Jackie with the 50 pounds saying sup, it's me, Jordan? What? No way.
I mean,
don't
think
believe
about
that.
how
No
many
way.
people that Biden pushed through that were
Thank you
that
so
were
much,
useless.
man.
That couldn't even.
Hey, Farrell,
even
I just got a question.
articulate the
I
basics
just got
of
a
the
question.
Constitution.
You're
Come on.
you're an active X user, yeah?
I mean, I don't understand you guys. You
I'm
it's
not- just
okay-
answer my
it's
question.
They're
okay
trolling.
use-
They're
when
trolling.
Democrats put in
Farrell,
their little
trolling.
hacks
Farrell,
and stuff
Farrell,
like that,
Farrell,
but when
Farrell, just
Republicans
answer-
actually try to stand up for their values,
Just
and do what they
answer my
want to do,
question.
then
Are you
all
an
run to
active
the
Twitter
nearest
user?
judge to
You're
try to get it
yapping.
overturned.
Stop yapping. Are you an
And-
active
and-
Twitter
and
user?
so-
He's
Dude.
gibberating.
Dude,
I don't
Farrell,
have to
stop
gibber. I'm just
gibberating.
telling you the
Gibberation.
truth.
Stop.
You don't
stop
wanna hear the
gibberating.
truth.
Stop gibberating. Are you an active Twitter user?
No, I don't use Twitter.
No fucking way. You're lying.
No, not at all. I don't use Twitter.
Every single point that you just made is a point that I've seen like these like incel way too far gone idiots on Twitter make in the last 24 hours.
See,
Like,
that's
for
what
instance,
that's
no,
what we can't have a
let me,
difference
let
because
me,
the
I
immediately-
wasn't
that's what-
done with my
that's what
statement.
liberals
You are
go to,
interrupting
is they
me.
call your names
You're interrupting
and
me,
they-
and I'm gonna mute you. Like for instance, Jesus Christ. Thank you so much. I forget who it was. It was like one of the Twitter cultists that was like, well, we see that our stock market is crumbling. Projections for economic growth are down. Stock markets are dying. Everything's not looking too good. So their response was to say, and I quote, this is just as shutting off all of the false numbers that Biden used to pump up his economy. What you are is a professional coper. You don't treat politics like this system that we could hopefully try to use to make our country better. You just pick a side and you align with it no matter what. It's emotion versus logic, okay? I support the CU Buffs. If you were to ask me who would win, the CU Buffs or Ohio State, emotionally, I would say CU because that's my team. I support them. But logically, Gotta say Ohio State, right? And I feel like in a very similar lens, you look at politics through that same emotional lens. You emotionally support MAGA, you emotionally support Trump, and you emotionally support anything they do, anything they say, and you always try to find a way to justify it. That's what you're doing right now. As soon as you see that the economy is crumbling under Trump, well, your emotions tell you that Trump's a good guy that's great for the economy, so it must be Biden's fault. Therefore, Biden must have been propping up his economy, and now we're just seeing the result of Donald Trump being a virtuous leader and no longer propping up his economy with fake numbers. And it's embarrassing. And it's annoying. It's fuck.
Vanity, thank you for the $5. Thank you so much. Happy birthday to your husband. Happy birthday to your husband. I hope that he finds my voice very annoying continually every day.
Unmute, Farrell. You haven't spoke for like 30 seconds, so that must mean that you don't know how to unmute yourself.
There's a lot of people that hate us in the comment section right now. It's really funny.
I don't see it.
You don't see it?
No.
It's like there's a lot of what's it called? Just like crazy MAGA conspiracists in the comments.
It's only because you want to silence me. It's just you can't have an honest intellectual discussion because we both know that you have no ideas. That's why you're losing right now. That's why Trump is winning. Trump's winning because he knows what people want to have done. They want safe streets. They want safe borders. They want a better economy, and they don't want any more bullshit. And that's where we're at.
So I have a question, right? You don't want like criminals to be let into the country legally.
That's correct. And what is he doing?
So if you don't want criminals,
they're defending criminals. They're defending criminals.
Yeah, this is why we mute you.
Every time. They're defending.
This is why we mute you. Because, again, you say that we're defending criminals. You voted for a convicted criminal held civilly liable of sexually abusing a woman that tried to undermine the 2020 election, right? And literally, right, released violent criminals into the country that beat cops and admitted to it and pled guilty to it.
I mean, if you want to talk about lawfare and how all those are going to get overturned, we can talk about that. And we're still seeing lawfare because he's got more lawsuits have been filed against Trump in the first not even 100 days than any administration combined.
Because he doesn't respect the Constitution.
Why are you all doing that?
Because he doesn't respect the Constitution. He doesn't respect the Constitution. His agenda is unconstitutional. Wait.
There's judge, which is so weak. So weak on your part.
Hey, the reason why he's had so many lawsuits against him is because his agenda is unconstitutional. For instance,
not at all.
I'm explaining how. If you allow me to explain how, I don't want to have to mute you. But if you act like a 3-year-old with no emotional compulsion and you don't have the ability to just listen to me while I'm speaking, if I could give you that same credence, I will have to mute you. If I don't mute you now, I'm just merely going to ask for you to wait until I'm done speaking. Is that okay? Thank you. Perfect. So the reason he's had a lot of lawsuits against him is because he's doing a lot of illegal and or unconstitutional things. Like, for instance, he ignored a court order from a judge that then had another court agree that it was illegal for him to ignore the court order. He has, restricted the asylum processes, granting himself a window to deport anybody that is in America on asylum right now that has started their claim in the last 2 years. Most obvious lawsuit ever. He's reenacted a piece of legislation from the 18th century to use to identify individuals as a part of Venezuelan gangs with no evidence to be deported without due process. Most obvious fucking lawsuit ever. Okay? He was at the headquarters of the Department of Justice where he was saying that CNN and MSNBC are illegal, that these media organizations have no right to exist. In fact, they're infringing upon our laws by their existence, even though they are protected under the First Amendment right to freedom of press. Most obvious lawsuit fucking ever. Okay, and then I don't want to hear it about lawsuits. Elon Musk has been toting how he's launching a lawsuit against CNN and people on CNN for like calling him a Nazi and shit. Okay, so yeah, there's your response. That's why he has so many lawsuits against him.
Well, we don't agree with that. We agree that that basically the left has gone after Trump since the first day he started his original campaign, and they've done everything they can to destroy the man. And the only reason he's still standing is because of the strength of himself and the fact that he has his own money.
Would
If
you
it
be
had
able
been
to tell me
anybody
one thing I
else,
said that was
we've
wrong?
destroyed so many people over the years. And it continues to this day. Instead of lawfare against the president, now you're just going against his agenda because you have no way to stop it, which you all know that. But you also, you're not honest because of the fact that you had 12 years with Obama and Biden to do whatever you wanted, to shove as many things like DEI and open borders and whatever you wanted to do to us down our throats. And what's the problem is those of us who are on the right and the majority of the American people, they're sick and tired of being told they're stupid, that they're ignorant, and that they don't know what they're talking about, because we're tired of being told that,
Right.
and we're no
Can I get
longer
three
going to
talking
take
points?
it. And that's where the disconnect is, because we're not going to hear that we should have men and women's sports. We're not going to hear we should have open borders and give taxpayer money to people who never were here originally, who are here illegally, who are breaking the law by being here. There's never going to
Hey,
happen.
Farrell, I have a question. How much do undocumented migrants pay per year in taxes?
Again, why you want to make up a term like that? They're illegal immigrants.
Okay,
They are
dude, you're hyperfixated on the wrong thing in my statement.
and they
Just
don't
answer-
pay
just,
taxes.
Okay, they don't pay taxes. You're fucking
No,
wrong.
not at all.
In the
Because
fiscal
if you
year,
go by-
sir,
if you go by the math-
in the fiscal year of 2022 alone, undocumented migrants paid $95.6 billion in taxes on the federal, state, and local level with the use of ITINs. When you say that undocumented migrants don't pay taxes
all.
and they live on the government to survive, you're fucking wrong. And don't you say
Well, I'm
not at
not
all,
fucking wrong.
because
I'll
guess
tell
what my
you right
sources?
now.
Guess what my
Over-
sources?
over
Guess
70%
what my
of-
sources?
of-
Guess
of
what my
legal
sources?
immigrants that come to
Farrell,
the country,
Farrell, guess
they
what my
get money.
sources? Guess what my sources for my claim?
I'm just telling you where you get your money from.
The House
They've also
fucking
done a
Republicans.
study
The
where
House fucking
if we-
Republicans.
if we-
You could find a study done by the House Republicans. The House Republicans that indicated that undocumented migrants pay $100 billion in taxes per year. I am sick and tired of you coming up on my live, repeating these talking points baselessly while rejecting everything that I'm saying. You're saying that I'm dishonest. You're saying I'm not acquainted with reality and I just hate Trump. Well, here's the fact of the matter, sir, is that you cannot bring yourself to reality, because as soon as I give you a fact, that fact being that undocumented migrants pay close to $100 billion in taxes per year on the federal, state, and local level with the use of ITINs, and that fact is reiterated by Trump's cronies in Congress, the House Republicans, in January of this year, you still reject it. And let me guess, you have no evidence. You have no reason. You have never even looked at my source. You merely just want to believe that undocumented migrants have never paid any taxes, because that perpetuates your contortion of reality that upholds your false worldview. This is why I say that you are a member of a cult, because you are separate, apart, and distinct from logic, devoid of reason, and apart and outside of fact, and you just merely contort reality to whatever you fucking want it to be. And I want to offer you an opportunity to prove me wrong. When you unmute your mic, tell me exactly why my claim that undocumented migrants pay $100 billion in taxes per year on those three levels is false. But I know that's not what you're going to do. And instead, you're just going to start yipping and yapping about random shit that has nothing to do with you displaying why what I said was incorrect or providing me with a source that would differ. And you're just going to go off on these other random tangential points about how strong Trump is, about the agenda and how the liberals and the deep state are so shitty and they just want to stop it. But you will never, ever, ever explain why you think the fact that undocumented migrants pay $100 billion in taxes per year is incorrect. Go ahead, try. Click on the profile picture, click that kind of the mic. Do you know how to unmute yourself? Just watch this chat. I just want to use this as a demonstration. The moment he unmutes, wait, that was to Parker. Bro.
He keeps muting. You muted me twice.
I did?
Yeah.
Bro, okay, TikTok must be tripping. I was literally trying to unmute the guest. He left.
Bro. That was rough, dude.
Dude, it's just because you have to be hard on the cultists. The cultists that are so far gone in their delusional worldview. In order to like beat them in a debate, you just have to predict their next move. Let them know that you've predicted their next move. Make it incredibly clear that their next move is going to be cowardly, and that in order to not be a cowardly cultist, they have to confront reality and explain why you're wrong. They have nowhere to go. They will never accept the fact that they're cowardly cultists, and they will never accept the fact that they were wrong. So they're in between a rock and a hard place, or their only option is to never engage again. That's exactly why that guest left.
All right. I might just start up my live here real quick, to be honest.
Okay. I could send you a raid when I'm over. I have about another 30 or 40 minutes on.
All right, for sure. I will see you then, bruv.
Yeah, thanks for popping up. Thanks for popping up, Parker.
Good seeing you.
What is up, Lil Joe? Did you vote for Trump?
Heck no.
No, all right. Well, we are just looking to debate Trump supporters, so I do appreciate you for joining. We're going to move on to the next guest as we speak. If you're one of the 7.8 thousand people in the live, guys, make sure that we're double tapping. We have about another 30 to 40 minutes of debates, y'all, so everybody do just kind of give us one moment here. Make sure that we're also getting up to 3 million likes. If everybody watching the live right now could start double tapping, that'd be phenomenal. What is up? 2, did you vote for Trump? Okay, 2's not here. Everybody just drop a MAGA in that chat. Please drop a MAGA. Please drop a MAGA. Everyone just be patient. We got Thomas Townsend loading up in. Yo, Ultimate, I'd really like to thank you for the $30 donation over on YouTube Super Chat. That is crazy. 300W Ultimates in the chat. 300W Ultimates. Ultimate says you're doing a great work, Dean and Parker. It's been a minute since I made a dono, but Taylor Swift's manager is back. Here's the money for the grift. Let's go. Taylor Swift's manager. W's to Ultimate for real for the $30. As well as Anastasia with a $20 super chat over on YouTube. Thank you so much, Anastasia. Please tell him that I teach immigrant teens to contribute more to society and have more value than he will ever amount to in his whole life. Fucking base. Blah, blah, blah. So base and roasted. 200 W's for Anastasia. What's up, Thomas? Did you vote for Trump? All right, Thomas is not here. We're going to move on. Everyone just give us a minute. If you're MAGA, please go ahead and spam MAGA down below in that chat. We have a lot of people who are watching, a lot of people that probably voted for Trump but aren't willing to debate. What's up, Blue Mountain? Did you vote for Trump?
Yo, yes, I did vote for Trump.
Okay, Devin, did you vote for Trump? Okay, all right, Blue Mountain, why did you do it?
I think it's more so, not more reasons, because I don't think he's morally a good person, but I'm thinking more so his policies for abortion. I like how he didn't stand up for abortion. I don't think abortion should be allowed.
Why?
I just think it's morally wrong to kill.
Give it every single reason why you think it's morally wrong for a woman to get an abortion, sure.
Well, I think that a lot of the time people think, like, when you say abortion's wrong, you're attacking the woman. But I don't think that's a good way to go about it. Like, we often get called sexist and stuff. Like, we don't want to have...
Okay, I don't care. Just tell me why you think abortion's wrong. With all due respect.
Okay, yeah. So I think that when life begins at fertilization, quickly after that, like around week 3 to 8, major organ systems start forming. The neural tube begins, like limb buds appear and stuff like this.
Okay, so why do you think abortion is wrong?
Because I was saying, I think it's the taking of an innocent human life.
Okay, sweet. So you think that killing an innocent human life is wrong, okay. Right? Do you think that's murder?
Yes, I do.
You said that human life begins at fertilization?
Conception.
Conception, okay. So sometimes an IUD can kill a zygote after conception. Under your view, that's killing an innocent human life, which is murder. If a woman engages in intercourse knowing that this outcome could occur and it does occur, is she a murderer?
I think that's not the same thing, because the purpose of an IUD is not for conception. I think the purpose about going about it is the thing that matters most. So I think that if someone's getting an IUD, they're not getting the IUD. They're not getting an IUD to. That was not sneaky, by the way. They're not getting the IUD with just the purpose of not having conception begin. I think the purpose of an IUD is not that.
It's still killing an innocent human life, and she knew that her action could lead to that outcome, and she was okay with that. But you're saying because that wasn't the purpose, and she more so just kind of wanted to reap the benefit of pleasure, that it's not murder? If I take like a pew-pew, and I just like shoot a bunch of holes through my window behind me for a nice light show, but, you know, it unintentionally kills a family of 5, did I murder them?
Yeah, that's a good point. Do you know what percentage of IUDs have conception begin and then cut it off?
It's one of the 2 main functions. I don't know the particular percentage, but the percentage doesn't matter at all. I don't think, like, just like seriously, if that outcome occurs, and I know that it can occur, I think that's murder. Like, once again, with a gun analogy, if there's a 100% chance that if I take a gun and I just shoot it through the wall behind me and it kills somebody, I'm a murderer, right?
Yeah.
What about a 50% chance that I shoot that gun and it kills somebody and it does kill somebody? Am I a murderer?
Yeah, I think so.
What about a 5% chance and it does kill somebody? And on that 5% chance, am I a murderer?
Yeah.
1% chance. And it does kill somebody. Am I a murderer?
Yes.
Precisely. My point is the likelihood of this outcome occurring doesn't matter. All that matters is if it does occur. So if a woman has an IUD, she engages in intercourse knowing that IUD could kill a zygote, and it does, is she a murderer?
I don't think it's a murder in the sense that we would consider in society, but I do think that I would go away from IUDs if there is a small possibility of that happening, but I wouldn't label them as a murderer.
Okay, why is it not murder under your view?
Just as you think that someone who's weeks 20 to 24 should not be able to get an abortion, I think that if that person were to get an abortion, in your worldview, you would not consider them a murderer, and you don't think that they should go to jail, most likely, because that probably has happened in the past, and I don't think you would be calling them a murderer, but rather that's just a bad decision.
So I'm likely to believe that the reason that you don't think that is murder doesn't really have to do too much with societal stigmas, but more so to do with the fact that you don't really value like a zygote that much, even though under your view, it is unique, innocent human life that is just as valuable as you or I. Like realistically, would you probably save me over 10 of these unicellular organisms?
I mean, you always make the claim about the petri dish, but I don't think that's the same. I think that if it's because when it's inside of the mother, it's sustaining life. The mother's sustaining it life.
Yeah.
And I think if it's outside of the petri dish, it doesn't have the ability to sustain life and further develop.
Yeah,
So
but it has the ability to sustain its life as is inside of the petri dish.
No, but it's not gonna further progress.
Okay, so then your position has nothing to do about the intrinsic value of innocent human life, and it's all to do with like the potentiality of progression for further development.
No,
like if a zygote remained a zygote forever, would you still value it the same amount that you value me?
Well, of course not.
Okay, so you value the potentiality that has for a future, right?
Yeah, somewhat.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, perfect. So here's my big issue with this argument.
Sorry.
So your position is like what, like future consciousness?
I just don't think that if a zygote's not, it's just gonna stay a zygote forever. I don't think that we should value that. So I think that it's some level of potentiality, but it's also the fact that. I mean, I just think that we're just comparing things that are never going to be true in the real world. So it's hard to say that I want.
It's hard to say. Well, if you're just saying that it's hard to say what you value the potentiality for, you're just saying it's hard to say why you're pro-life.
No, because that's like a stupid thing to say. What I value, if something stayed a zygote forever, would I value it? That's like just not a very good comparison at all.
The point of that question is to see if you value the existence of innocent human life or the future potentiality of like consciousness.
And if it's in the mother, yes, I do value. If it's outside of the mother, I do not value it.
Okay, so you value it based upon its location? Why?
Because as I said multiple times now, when it's inside of the mother, it's still sustaining life and it's further progressing in the system.
Yeah,
the
so got it. So then what you value is the progression and like the potentiality for sentience with future progression.
No, I value it being able to sustain life as well.
Wait, sustain what? Okay, so what is it? Well, I'm having a really hard time tracking down what you value. You are confusing me to a very extreme degree. Do you value the fetus because it will be a person like you or I in the future, or do you value the fetus because it's alive and human now? I'm just trying to nail down what your position is because I'm really confused right now.
I'll say both then. What I value is innocent human life within the mother. That's what I value. I don't necessarily.
What if it's outside of the mother?
Then it's not sustaining life, so I no longer value it.
Okay, so if I were to just if I was an abortion practitioner and I removed the fetus from the mother alive and then killed it.
Yes, I would think that's bad, yes.
Okay, why? Because you're removing it from the habitat?
Well, because at that point, it would already be removed from the mother, so it would already be dead.
So you value it because of its location?
I value it? No.
It's either the fact that you value it because of its location, or you value it because of future sentience.
I don't understand why you're twisting what I'm saying. I'm
not trying to twist what you're saying. I'm just trying to understand what you're saying.
I'll say it one more time. I value it when it's in the mother sustaining life. And the reason I value it while it's in the mother is because it's a human life. If you take it outside of the mother...
Is it still human life? Like a petri dish and a zygote in a petri dish. Is that a human life?
It doesn't have the ability to sustain life, so I
No,
wouldn't
no,
evaluate
no,
it.
no, no. Is it a human life?
Yes, but it would be like a brain dead
Okay,
patient.
okay. So then you don't place moral value on human life. What do you place moral value on?
I place value on someone's I don't place value on a brain dead person because they don't have the potential for sentience any longer.
Okay,
They're brain
so you
dead.
place value on potential for future sentience.
Sure.
Okay, why did it take me 20 minutes to get that out of you?
Because if I say what I actually value, you keep twisting my words, saying it doesn't make sense, which I think it does make sense.
So you don't actually value a future for potential sentience? So what do you actually value?
Oh my gosh, you're actually making me a little bit annoyed. If you
Okay,
take,
it's not my fault that you can't explain your view.
if a zygote is in a petri dish, does that have the ability to sustain life? Yes or no?
In the petri dish, it does.
No, it doesn't. Can you give me one
Then
example?
why is the zygote not dead?
Okay, give me a scientific experiment where this has happened.
Wait.
Give me,
Yeah, no. Every IVF center ever.
yeah, but what's gonna give it the ability to sustain life once it's implemented in the woman? Outside it when it's in the petri dish, it's just a zygote on a petri dish. It's not the same.
Is that zygote alive?
No, it's not.
The zygote's dead?
Yes, it's just
wait. So I want to clarify that IVF literally brings humans back to life.
Well, once they're implemented in the mother, that it has to start giving it nutrients. When it's just in the petri dish, you know that the eggs are frozen. So when these eggs are frozen, of course they're not just alive being frozen. How does that make any sense? Once it's implemented in the woman, it's like a shock factor. It like literally like starts bringing.
So
life.
I just want to clarify that IVF literally brings human from being dead to being alive. IVF takes a dead human and creates an alive human. Like, so IVF is like fucking Frankensteining these unicellular organisms.
I don't think you know what IVF is. So IVF is
the artificial like implantation of a zygote into the uterine lining of a mother. What they'll do a lot in these IVF centers is they'll take a sperm and an egg, they'll fertilize the egg, and then they'll freeze them and then wait for implantation. But you're saying while they're frozen, it's fucking dead. But then when it's implanted, it makes it gain life. So you believe in like zombies, pretty much. So are like all IVF babies fucking zombies because they were dead and then they were brought back to life?
So do you think that when they're frozen, they're still growing and they're still
they're alive when they're frozen?
Yeah. So then why aren't they continuing to progress?
Because they're kept in one state by being frozen.
Yes. But
that doesn't mean they're dead.
They're not literally dead in the sense that they're dead because...
Bro, okay, sorry. You're killing me, Blue. I gotta move on.
Let's move on.
I just gotta move on. If they're... Okay, dude. No. He was about to say that they're dead, but they're not actually dead. So they're alive. Oh, I can't do it. I'm sorry, chat. I can't do it. That's gonna hurt my brain. I can't do it, chat. I'm so sorry. What is up, NZ0? Did you vote for Trump?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, he was like basically saying they're not like dead. They're just kind of dead, but not all the way dead. They're just kind of dead, but not completely dead. And now people in the chat are saying Dean ran. You guys are fucking idiots. I'm so sorry for being so direct. I'm so sorry for everybody that I'm like that I'm like sending that phrase to, but like you guys are not smart.
No, that guy was retarded, bro.
Oh my god, don't slow my life, please. I appreciate that. We're gonna move on to the next guest. Everyone just give us a minute. But like, dude. Dead but not dead. Only half dead. Are they like half dead, half alive? I wonder what the spread is there. 80% dead, 20% alive? I don't know. What's up, MK? Did you vote for Trump?
Yes, I did. This is my first time voting too.
All right. Why did you vote for Trump?
I honestly considered Kamala. I really hated Trump in like high school and stuff. Really didn't like him. But like Kamala, she just never like said anything. Like she never gave like I never understood what she was doing compared to Trump, like the different policies and stuff.
Okay.
And like what Trump was doing just made more sense, and I just started kind of like following that more.
Okay. Well, I do feel like a lot of the time when people come up here and say, "Well, I just didn't really understand what Kamala Harris had to offer," I kind of like
Well,
reduce it.
I did try to do like a lot of research.
But I did research.
Like
and
I made sure I
perfectly
did lots of research.
But I like did research and I like perfectly understood what she wanted to do for America, like the tax cuts for 100 million American citizens, the $25,000 subsidy for first-time homebuyers buying newly developed properties, reinstantiating federal protections for every woman and girl's right to choose, towing the line behind Ukraine, being pro-Israel, which was shitty, but also giving Gaza humanitarian aid, which is contradictory but better than Trump. Like immigration policy, she wanted to reinstitute, the Langford border bill that Trump shot down. Healthcare policy, she wanted to limit the amount that any American citizen could pay out of pocket to $2,000 per year, saving the government money by allowing Medicare to renegotiate prices with private pharmaceuticals. Like those are all things that I got from her campaign, from her website.
I mean, that's things that you have to like you had to dig deep for. Like she wasn't, when I listened to her speeches, like she never really was clear. I couldn't understand her. Like it just didn't make any sense. And when Trump was talking, at least I like had the idea, because I'm still new to this. So like some of the policies are confusing, but like
before we get
for
into
him,
like,
I could understand him.
Before we get into Kamala Harris not making sense, I want to ask you about Donald Trump making sense. Name one policy that he told you that made sense.
I mean, I don't know like the details of the policies, okay, but I know like the basics of what he's doing.
Okay, so name one of his
But
policies
like
that he
what
told you
he's
that
doing
made
now,
sense.
what I see like immigration and like the executive orders he's doing, I agree with that, and I'm glad that I voted for him.
I want to ask you a great question. What is one immigration
I mean,
policy
not all
that
of
he
his
described
stuff is,
before
like,
the
great
election?
either.
Name one immigration policy that he described before the election that quote unquote made sense.
I'm not sure on like specific policy, but like just deporting like illegal immigrants in general.
Oh, the mass deportation makes sense? I don't think it does.
I mean, I would like people. I'm not against immigration. Like, I think a lot of Republicans, we're not against immigration. We just want legal immigration. And I think that's what people need to focus on rather than, like, we should just let people in.
Here's the deal.
Illegal.
I just want to clarify. Like, this is exactly why Trump won. So you just told me that Kamala Harris's policies didn't make sense and Donald Trump's did. But you actually can't tell me any...
Well, I mean, I even
Just-
tried
would you allow me
listening
to
to
finish real
you
quick?
before I voted.
Okay. You can't really like tell me any policy that Donald Trump advocated for, but you can explain to me as like little one-liners of shut down the border and get all of the aliens out of America, quite frankly. And like that's enough. And I understand that that's a little bit easier to follow than Kamala Harris like breaking down tax cuts for a
It's
bunch
just
of
kind of
people.
harder for like, unless you're like super into politics, it's like really hard to get like deep down into that research.
Yeah.
But like being able to understand the basics, I think, is important.
Yeah, just like it's kind of, I don't know. I think it's really an intellectualist. Trump has regressed the state of America very much so to the point where the average American can't track Kamala Harris explaining a $25,000 subsidy for a first-time homebuyer buying a new house, but they can track Donald Trump saying, aliens, be gone, get them out of here. Everybody needs
Well, I do
to
think
go.
that could be something wrong with the
Border,
media
border,
too.
China, aliens and women. And then that's like, oh, yay, let's go, snaps, claps.
Well,
you
I mean,
know,
if the media was biased, it would be harder to like research Kamala.
what are you saying now?
So I don't like, Trump is more, I like popular over media. So I guess it's easier to find what he says rather than Kamala, because Kamala was not she didn't seem that popular in media.
Oh,
So
yeah, it's
maybe
probably
that's
because
another
the
reason
deep
why it was
state-
harder to find things that she said.
It's probably because the deep state suppressed what she wanted to do. I'm just kidding. I don't really know where to go from here in the conversation. What else do you want to talk about? But I feel like it's really hard to have like a political
I
debate
do have one thing that I was
about, just one moment. I
For,
feel like it's
like-
really hard to have a political debate about the candidate when you just don't know any of the policy of the candidate or any of the policy of the candidate that he was running against.
Well, I mean, I'm your basic American. I'm not going to know like deep like stuff. Like I'm not going to know the information you know.
Yeah. What do you want to debate about? Give me a topic. Let's debate.
I'm not sure on like the whole Trump thing. I'm just confused on why people call MAGA like cultists and stuff,
Yeah.
or like we voted him, we are bad, we are terrible people, and that's like I don't get that. That's what I keep hearing in this debate is that we are bad people because we voted for him.
I think that a lot of Trump supporters are bad people because
Well, I grow up in a conservative area, and these people aren't bad. They're voting for good reasons. They're not cultists.
Listen,
They're not.
here's my take. I think that a lot of Trump supporters are bad people. I do also think that a lot of Trump supporters.
Well, and they're
can I
not.
finish?
People are always
Can I just
saying
finish
they're
real quick?
conservative too.
Can I just please finish?
Yeah.
I think that a lot of Trump supporters are bad people. I do also think that a lot of Trump supporters are just misinformed or ignorant when it comes to politics. But there's definitely like a prevalence here. Like there's a pattern. Like if you're a bad person,
Well,
you probably
we're not
voted for
racist
Trump.
because Trump isn't racist, and we're
Trump-
not sexist because he's doing things for women.
Okay.
So, like, how does that make sense? How are we sexist when he's doing good things for women?
Like what?
Like to keep trans out of women's sports. That's a big thing.
10 people in the NCAA. It's so huge. It applies to as many people as you have fingers on your hands. Do you want to know how many women him overturning Roe?
It's not that important, but people are still angry
Do you want to
about
know
that.
how many women and girls him overturning Roe v. Wade impacted? Because I
How
can tell
many?
you, 66 million American women and girls no longer have access to elective abortions because of Trump.
Well, I don't think it should be used, like-
And 60 great victims per day are denied access to abortion because of Trump's decision. 60 great victims every single day, every 24 hours, like clockwork. It's not
Well,
good
people
for
are
women.
using abortion as birth control, and that shouldn't be right. It should be used for if things like incest or rape. It should be used for things like that. It should not be used for birth control. I think that is morally wrong.
When you say birth control, okay, let me first gain an understanding of what you mean by birth control. When you say abortions are used as birth
Some
control,
people get
Can I
multiple
just-
abortions over and over again.
yeah, why is that abortion morally wrong?
I did some research because I used to be more pro-choice, that was okay. But then just seeing how abortion is done is just so it looks traumatic, and it
It
just
looks traumatic. Okay.
and honestly, I think even though it's not conscious or anything, I think it's still alive. Straight from conception, it's still alive. And so it just kind of just in my brain, it just feels like you are killing it. But I don't think they're murderers either.
Okay, you're just saying it's wrong because
I
the
don't
fetus
think
is
it's
dying?
necessary to constantly use it.
Are you saying it's wrong because the fetus is dying?
What?
Hello?
No,
Okay, so it's not wrong
it
because
wouldn't
the
be
fetus-
wrong if it was dying.
So, no, I'm asking you if the reason you're against elective abortions is because the fetus
It should be used when
dies.
it's necessary.
Okay, what do you mean by necessary there? When it's like the...
If somebody was raped or
Okay.
if it's a medical thing, I think it should be used. But other than that, it shouldn't be used.
Okay, so the other 97% of abortions that you're describing here are called elective abortions. An elective abortion is when a man and a woman engage in intercourse, consent, woman knows that pregnancy may occur, she gets pregnant, and she's like, I don't want to have it. And then she gets an abortion. Why is that wrong?
I just think it's morally wrong to kill.
It's morally wrong to kill, is it?
And it is.
So it's just morally... Are you a vegan? I'm not comparing a cow to a fetus, but if your principle is just things dying is bad
No.
and they should be illegal. Okay, so then you don't think that abortion's wrong because it's quote unquote morally wrong to kill. You maybe think it's morally wrong to kill humans? MK, is your position that you maybe think it's morally wrong to kill humans?
I think when there's no necessary reason to do it, there shouldn't be any. If there's no necessary reason to do it, you shouldn't kill.
Okay, do you think that IVF...
I mean, for not vegan,
do you think
for
that,
food.
Do you think that IVF
Yeah,
should
I
be
think that.
banned? Because there's millions of zygotes, which are human lives that die each year just as a unfortunate consequence of IVF practices.
I'm just learning about that, so I'm not quite sure. But
No?
honestly, right now, I'd say yeah, I wouldn't be totally for it.
Oh, great. Yeah. No more families for infertile women or women that are with infertile men. Great to know that Republicans really support the family unit. Super great. What about doctors pulling the plug on brain dead patients? You know, they're alive.
I'm also not Republican. I'm independent.
You know that brain dead patients, they have human life. Should it be illegal for a doctor to pull the plug on a brain dead patient?
Well, if they have no potential to live, yes.
Yeah.
But the difference is because
You're really
the
lagging,
baby has a
MJ.
potential to live.
Are you saying like what do you okay, another thing that I don't understand. What does potential to live mean? Like the fetus is alive. The brain dead patient is alive. Both of these things are expressing biological life. When you tell me potential to live, I don't know
But
what
is
that
the brain
means.
dead person going to have a future?
Are they a future
Does a
of
brain
like
dead person have a potential to have a future?
when you say like future, do you mean like a future like ours, a
Live,
conscious
to live normal.
experience?
Yes.
No, the brain dead patient doesn't have that.
The fetus does have potential.
Okay. Sorry, MK. You're lagging really bad, so I'm going to move on to the next guest. Everyone just give us a minute. We got Dogs in New York loading up into the live, bro. What's going on today? I feel like I actually really haven't had that much fun with a guest today. Is it just me? Like, I just feel like I haven't had good debates. Annie, thank you for the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat. NY Times broke the Mustache China story. Seems like I really need to read up on it. I'm going to do about like 2 hours of research here before I hop on MSNBC later tonight. And then, yo, Natalie! With a $50 over on Venmo. Holy crap, Natalie. Thank you so much for the love. Thank you, Natalie. I want to see 500 Natalie W's down below in the comment section. That is absurd. Thank you so much for the love, Natalie. Natalie said, mic drop, that rant made my whole day, so sick of the cult mentality, ignoring reality, facts, etc. That was in reference to when that straight up cult member came on the live earlier, and I just, had them cut their shit out. Yeah, bro, it pisses me off too. Sabrina, thank you for the $10 on PayPal, and Anne with a $5 over on PayPal, and Elijah with a $15 on PayPal, and then Emmett with a 15 as well. Everybody show some love to Emmett, to Elijah, to Claire, to Anne, to Sabrina, and to, of course, Natalie. If you're watching the stream and you want to support the stream, Venmo, PayPal, link tree in the bio. Y'all already know. It's easier to find them on YouTube since they're in the pin message. What's up, new guest? DJ, did you vote for Trump?
Yeah, dude. What the heck's wrong with that?
Are you trolling, bro?
No, I'm not, bro.
Was that the other guest that made that sound, or was it you?
That had to have been someone else.
Okay, dude's trolling. We're going to move on to the next guest. Everyone just give us a minute. Guys, if you're watching in your MAGA, let me know down below in that chat. Everyone just give us a minute. Here we go, y'all. It's really hard for us to find Trump supporters that are willing to come up here and debate me. You guys are all terrified. Seriously, nobody's willing. Like, I don't know why everyone is just so scared, dude. How about y'all stop being so scared and, come up here and debate. Moving on. Next guest is loading in. We probably only have a couple more minutes on left, by the way. Another discussion or two. So just give us a minute here, y'all. All right, next guest is loading in. Hello. She's Lord Princess. Did you vote for Trump? Okay, they just went on mute and they left. That is so great, man. Marty's backup 1, 2, 3. Mr. Peter, hello.
Dean, it's the world's smartest MAGA, buddy.
I have no clue who you are.
Bro, remember you were giving me shit because I didn't read the court case about E. Jean Carroll versus Donald Trump. So I said I was going to come back later and read the court case, and I was going to talk to you about it again. And I was like the smartest guy you've had up, and you even admitted that, and I answered all your gotchas.
Well, I doubt that I'd admit that you're the smartest person that's ever been on
No,
my
you
stream.
said I was the smartest MAGA that's been on your live.
I know I didn't say that. Especially if you're denying the outcome of the E. Jean Carroll case.
No, I read the court case and I still stand by it.
Okay, why?
Because you were like, Peter, did you read the court case? I said no. So I said I'm going to come back. This was maybe a couple weeks ago, and I said I'm going to read the court case and I'm going to talk to you about it again. So I read the court case now, and I still believe that there is no sufficient evidence to convict Donald Trump of raping E. Jean Carroll.
Okay. I have a question. Is OJ guilty?
I think OJ is guilty.
Okay. Well, I mean, the only court that found him guilty was a civil one. Now,
I mean, come on.
Actually, I want to ask you a couple questions. As somebody that denies the outcome of the court, why did Trump deny his DNA?
Because I think he's trying to not make a big deal out of something that is not true. He's not convicted of it, and I think
Yeah, but the
I
best way to
think
go
that
about that would for him to have been to submit his DNA, show that Eugene Carroll's claim that his DNA was on this dress that she was raped in was false. He would have been let go by the jury, and it would have all gone away, and then there wouldn't be people like Dean and Parker talking about it.
I think there would be some fraudulent things going on behind the scenes, just like there was with the 2020 election.
You think 20? Okay, you're definitely not the smartest MAGA ever. Do you think
Definitely am.
Do you think that Biden stole 2020?
No, I don't think that Biden stole 2020. I think that there was fraudulent. I think the election itself was um, true, but I think that there was stuff behind the scenes that would have changed the outcome,
Like
such
what?
as the spyware on Hunter Biden's laptop.
Hunter Biden's laptop story. Okay, yeah.
Wait, let me just say one thing before you talk.
Okay.
Do you know there was a study shown that 1 out of every 4 voters would have changed their vote with this given information, which would have changed the outcome of the election after the CIA silenced. I just want to know this: why is the federal government
Whoa, let's
silencing?
talk about the study. Can you show me the study?
Yes. Why is the federal government silencing freedom of speech during a presidential election?
I'll
Answer
answer
that
your
question
question
for me.
after you give me the study, because I've heard about the study from everybody and I've never seen it. I feel like there's probably like an actual study that exists that was on like fucking 8 people from Alabama LARPing to be Kamala Harris supporters. Just tell me, give me the study. I say we sit down. I say we sit down and we read through the methodology of the study together, because I just want to see what their grounds were. Who are they talking to? Where do they come from? How do they ensure that they voted for Biden? I want to look at the study. What's the name of the study?
All right,
Where's
I'm
it
getting
come
my
from?
laptop.
No, you just don't know. You don't know its name.
No, I don't know the name of the study.
Who's a publicist? Who's it published by?
I don't know.
Well, what the fuck? So you're telling me you've never read the study?
I have read the study.
Well, then you definitely know the publisher.
No, I don't remember the publisher, Dean.
Why not? That's like the most obvious thing ever.
Because I'm a 18-year-old senior in high school. I don't have time to memorize this stuff, bro.
Bro, you don't even need to memorize it. It's just like you've like been on the fucking website before. Like for instance, I fucking know that AP broke the news about Donald Trump being held civilly liable for the violent sexual abuse of Eugene Carroll, and I like 6 months ago, I got the verdict form from the court to be able to use as a background when I come on live, and I know that I got that picture from a link on AP's website just by like memory. I feel like if you were to sit down and read this study,
This
that
is your
demonstrated
job.
that 1 out of 4, dude. I'm saying that you engaged in a very similar action to sitting down and apparently reading the study that showed that 1 out of 4 Dems wouldn't have voted for Biden if they knew about Hunter Biden's laptop. You don't even know the publisher? I mean, do you know it now? Seemingly you've done some research.
Congress.gov says I think it was 8 in 10 think that Biden's laptop cover-up changed election. Congress.gov.
Okay, what's the title?
It's called Shock Poll. 8 in 10 think Biden laptop cover-up changed election.
Okay,
Paul Sperry.
So that's not the same claim as saying that 1 out of 4 Democrats wouldn't have voted for Trump if they knew about it. That's just saying like 8 out of 10 people, most likely on a Republican bias, would think that less people would have voted for Biden given they knew about
Dude, there's
Biden.
so many articles. Like, do you want me? I could probably find it, bro. There's fact check. Does
so-
polling show the
so-
Hunter
so-
Biden laptop? Lawmakers cite fishy polls suggest laptop tail would have changed by the Washington Post.
Oh, so fact check
Would
is
have
saying that
swayed
the
vote.
polls are fishy and are bullshit? Nice. So
There's
here's my thing.
so
Can I give you
many
my thoughts?
articles.
I mean,
Yeah.
seemingly you just read off an article that contradicted what you said.
Give me your thoughts.
Okay, I'll give you my thoughts. So first and foremost, I don't care about Hunter Biden's laptop. You want to know why?
Why is that?
Because you don't care that Donald Trump paid Stormy Daniel hush money to shut the fuck up about the fact that he had cheated on his pregnant wife with her. You
No,
don't care.
I
and
disagree
you've
with
never
that.
cared.
Dude, how do you know? Do you disagree with everything in your political party? Or do you agree with everything in your
I
political
don't
party?
agree with everything in my political party, but here's the thing. If I was to come to a Trump supporter and say, look at this bad thing that Trump did, but it was to be identically true of somebody on the side of my aisle, then I'd look like a big fat idiot for trying to make that critique of Trump if it was also true of Biden or Harris. And that's the thing. As soon as we start talking about the Hunter Biden laptop story, I don't care. And I will never care about Hunter Biden's laptop story until you
That's the
can
problem.
admit that Donald Trump obfuscated and tried to like shove this information away that he paid off a porn star after he cheated on his wife with her to make sure that stayed out of the election cycle in 2016. Alongside the fact that I won't care about the Hunter Biden laptop story until you could admit that Donald Trump literally tried to coup and rig the outcome of the 2020 election. And
Bro, are you serious?
Yes. He sent fake slates of electorates to 7 different key swing states with votes for them to send back to Congress saying that Trump won when in all reality Biden had won the states to install himself for a second term. And then he tried to justify this coup on our democracy by telling the DOJ to falsely announce widespread voter fraud. So this was merely him correcting the virtuous results of the election. And then he argued and admitted this all in court. I won't care about the Hunter Biden laptop
Wait, when is
story
it my turn?
until you care about 2020 or until you care about 2016 when he paid off a P-star after he cheated on his wife with her, so that didn't make it into the news cycle before the election.
Bro, what Trump did was morally wrong. What happened with the spyware, that is illegal. That is a violation of a constitutional right, Dean.
Oh, so I'm guessing somebody's been prosecuted on this.
I don't agree. No, I don't agree with what Donald Trump did, bro.
I don't even know what the spyware is that you're talking about. What?
The Russian spyware on Hunter Biden's laptop? What are you talking about?
Bro, what?
Bro. Are you serious?
What Russian spyware? Tell me about it.
This is what we were just talking about.
I thought that you were just saying about like keeping it out of the news cycle.
It is like that's what I'm talking about, keeping it out of the news cycle.
Keeping what? Just the laptop as a whole?
Yes, I literally showed you an article.
Okay,
what
is Russian spyware? Where does Russian spyware come into this?
It was on Hunter Biden's laptop.
Okay, and that's what they tried to keep out of the news cycle?
No, yeah, that was part of it.
Okay, what is Russian spyware? Were they like spying on Hunter?
Oh my God, Dean.
Like if the Russian spyware is on Hunter Biden's laptop, seemingly Russia is spying on Hunter.
I don't, dude. Do you have any like intuition?
Yeah, I just kind of described it.
There's spyware on Hunter Biden's laptop.
Yeah.
That was incriminating. That would have, and that my argument is that you can admit that the government tried to silence it.
Let's start here. What is spyware?
You don't know do you actually not know what spyware is?
I know what spyware is. I'm not sure you do. Define spyware.
It's like spyware is information on a laptop that you get information from. So like in this example, I think it would have been the U.S. government. You steal information essentially.
So first of all, Hunter Biden wasn't a part of the American government, so that's a stretch. More likely just information about him and his personal relations with his families. Second of all, spyware is something where a hacker or a group
his personal relationship with his family, like how Joe Biden took showers with his daughter. Yeah.
Okay, Peter, do you want to pivot to that? Why are you so fucking spineless? Now you say that Biden was taking showers with his daughter, and now I have to completely switch the subject and start talking about that because you're about to get cooked.
Don't pivot.
Then don't make false claims.
Okay, there's as much evidence as that as there is Donald Trump and E. Jean Carroll.
You fucking idiot. No, there's not. I'll go ahead and tell you all the evidence that exists for Biden showering with his daughter. So, A, this is coming from Ashley Biden's diary that was sold to Project Veritas, who is known for taking documents on political opponents, manipulating them, and then releasing them into the mainstream media. And then after this was released into the mainstream media, Ashley Biden came out under deposition and sent a letter to the court saying that there's been false allegations lobbed at her as well as the people that she cares about. And there was no further verification insofar as if those contents were real or not.
What do you have against Donald Trump?
Boom.
Male DNA, unidentified male DNA.
God damn it. A unanimous ruling from a civil court, a jury of fucking 9. Now that we got the pivot out of the way and I could just slay that shit, we're going to go back to what you're saying about spyware.
Bro,
so you said that there was spyware.
Again. Don't ever say slay again,
Jesus.
bro. That was cringe as fuck.
You know what's cringe as fuck? You being shirtless with like no fucking shoulders and like a shit chest. Come on, bud. If you're gonna have a picture, with you without your shirt on as a profile picture, at least be in the gym for at least 8 months.
Remember last time, buddy? It doesn't look.
Yeah, sure. If you want to get down and dirty and you want to insult me, I'm gonna insult you too, Peter.
Why are you muting me?
Because I'm fucking talking and you're interrupting me. So I'm gonna.
I'm not interrupting you.
You are interrupting me. In fact, it was just an interruption. Thank you. Are we
All right,
ready?
am I speaking now?
No,
Or are you
I'm speaking.
Okay, go. Try to keep it short. You talk for like 10 minutes.
Do I need to draw it on polka dot paper with crayon for you?
Dude, you got me there, man. Speak, bro.
Thank you. Going back to what I was saying. So you said that there's just as much evidence that Joe showered with his daughter as Donald Trump has raped E. Jean Carroll. You fucked yourself up. You fucked yourself. You want to know why?
Why?
Because you said that Joe Biden had showered with his daughter as if it was a fact. And then you went on to say that there was just as much evidence to justify that as there is evidence to justify that Donald Trump is a rapist. So because you believe
it's called
that Joe
sarcasm.
Biden, so because you believe Joe Biden showered with his daughter with vindication and confidence, and you believe there's just as much evidence that Donald Trump had raped E. Jean Carroll, that means that you believe that Donald Trump had raped E. Jean Carroll.
Dude, your mind games are good, all right, but it's not gonna work on me. Like I'm the smartest man. I don't know what you want me to say, dude. I'm telling
Are you
you,
fucking trolling?
no, I'm not. You said it yourself.
Give me your evidence.
Evidence on what? You saying that I'm the smartest MAGA?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you? I don't know how to go back on TikTok live odds. Only
Well, so you don't
access
have
to
any
that.
evidence, so it's okay for you to believe in things without evidence. Really?
Dude, you literally said that.
Yeah,
Your boy was on the stream
fucking
too.
grilling a unanimous ruling from a jury of 9 in a civil. Apparently,
I read the case.
Apparently, a court ruling isn't enough to justify that Trump's a rapist.
A
But
civil
Peter's
court
word
ruling,
of
sure.
mouth is enough evidence to justify that I called you the smartest MAGA. Come on.
A civil court. Well, I think it's one of them was a way more serious accusation than the other. I don't know why you're putting it on the same scale. Second of all, it's a civil court case,
It is a civil court case.
which is not. And Donald Trump is literally like the most hated man
Actually,
in America.
so you said that you had read through all the court documents, you'd looked at the evidence. Let's go and break it down this way. My position on the court case is that there was sufficient evidence to demonstrate that Donald Trump was guilty, not only to the standard of a preponderance of evidence as set forth by a civil court, but this could also been proved in a criminal court. I believe that the evidence submitted proved that Donald Trump had raped E. Jean Carroll beyond a reasonable shadow of a doubt, and I'll simply ask you, Peter, to name a reasonable doubt to the evidence if you contest my claim.
Reasonable doubt to the evidence is that it's just unidentified male DNA. And let me tell you this: you come into these debates with a very closed mind. Like you don't come in here like open to like hearing other people's thoughts.
Okay, you said
All right,
one
buddy.
thing
You're
so far
not.
that's
You're not.
relevant.
Hold on. You're not slick, buddy. I see the schmeal. You're not slick.
You said one. You
You're-
said one thing that so far that's relevant. Is
Ripping
that
the
you, is that
schmeal.
you don't believe that it's an anxiety pin, you freak.
What flavor are you? What flavor are you ripping, bro?
Lavender and caramel.
You're lying.
It's a fucking anxiety pin.
Anxiety pen. Yeah, dude. I got one too.
Are you laughing because you're uncomfortable?
Dude, I have an anxiety pen too, bro. No shame. Are you more of a geek or a crave?
We're going to go back to what I said. So I asked you to name
Okay.
the reasonable doubts to the evidence submitted to the court case, and you said what? That it was just unknown DNA on the dress. So here's the issue with you. I want you to look at the evidence as a conglomerate, because of course you could like take apart different pieces of evidence and name like a reasonable doubt to each piece. I believe the reason that Donald Trump is guilty isn't because each individual piece is sufficient in proving his guilt. It's more so the preponderance of all the evidence. And this is going to be true of like criminal courts as well. Like for instance, like testimony is permissible in criminal courts as evidence, but you could like look at testimony on its own and be like, oh, well, there's a reasonable doubt to the evidence of this one piece of evidence. But it's more so about looking at the preponderance. And I believe when we look at the full picture of the civil court proceedings where E. Jean Carroll had successfully held Donald Trump liable for raping her, we don't just see unidentified male sperm on her dress that she claimed was Trump's, with Trump then being provided the opportunity to submit his DNA to the court to prove that false, in which he denied, but we also see inconsistencies in Trump stories, such as the picture of her and Trump after he had said that he never met her, or such as him saying that he would have never have raped E. Jean Carroll because he didn't think that she was attractive, then confusing a picture of E. Jean Carroll with a picture of his ex-wife, when obviously he'd only marry somebody if he thought that they were attractive. But then as well, the court documents insofar suggesting that there was therapist notes from the 90s where she had indicated that she was raped by Donald Trump and how those aligned with her own testimony and the testimony of 7 others. I believe that a very clear picture is painted with the inconsistencies within Trump's story, no inconsistencies within Eugene Carroll's story, and the preponderance of evidence, and the fact that he refused to submit his DNA to the court to be tested against the DNA on the dress. I think that we come to the same conclusion that the jury
I get
did,
your argument.
that being that Donald Trump is guilty. And I have one last argument. I want to ask you a question. If you were
I don't get to say my argument back before you ask me a question?
It's just a quick question. If you were sober and you were driving and you were pulled over by a cop suspected of drunk driving, and they were like, take this breathalyzer, would you do it?
Yes, because it's the law.
Well, it's actually not required to take a breathalyzer. You could go, you could
Required
go
to
to
take
the
a
hospital
breathalyzer?
and get a blood test.
Seriously?
Yeah, no, it's not required. You could deny it. And then even at the hospital, you could deny the blood test too.
I would still do it.
Yeah, exactly, because you're sober, right? You just want to prove your innocence and get on with your day, right? So now,
Yeah,
here's
but
a follow-up
here's the
question.
thing.
No. Here's a follow-up question.
No, but dude, why do you never give your guest the floor, bro?
Because I'm almost fucking done. If you were driving and you weren't sober, you were drunk, and you got pulled over suspected of drunk driving, and the offered you a breathalyzer, would you take it?
Yeah.
Okay, you're lying. Who in their right mind
Would
would
you?
do that? No.
No, I wouldn't take it.
Exactly. So
Yeah, but
when you
okay, but
deny,
bro,
so
oh
so
my
the
God.
analogy here is that Donald Trump was provided with an opportunity to prove his innocence, okay? Because Eugene Carroll made a claim that his DNA was on this dress that she was raped in, and he didn't take it. What does that tell us?
But Donald Trump, everyone is out to get Donald Trump, bro. And I think that it would be fraudulent. I think there would be fraudulent things going on behind the scenes. I think you know that too.
Okay, so now your argument is the conspiracy theory that they probably were engaging in fraudulent, illegal behavior.
Just like your argument,
somehow got
bro.
his DNA on the dress.
Bro, you
Really?
never let me talk.
Okay, so here's the issue. You don't have
Oh
any
my
evidence for the
God.
theory. So you think that you're
I
very...
didn't even finish.
You said all that you needed to. You said that there's fraudulent activity.
I just let you talk for like 3 minutes.
Yeah, sure. What do you want
Can I
to
at
say?
least finish, bro?
What do you want to say?
Bro, I was saying, just like your argument that you just could have literally summed up in like 30 seconds, but you took 10 minutes. Basically, what you're
Jesus
saying
Christ, I'm
is
so
you
sorry
are
for
forming.
being... Do I need to be more mono?
Holy shit, Dean.
What's the one word Milchick said?
Lay off the schmeal and like listen to what I'm saying.
What the fuck is the schmeal?
Basically, what your argument was, right, is that you are forming your educated opinion based off a handful of evidence pointing that Donald Trump is guilty, correct?
Repeat that. I'm still thinking about the fucking schmeal.
The schmeal, yeah, because you want it, you need it, I know.
What the fuck is the schmeal?
It's your anxiety pen.
God damn it! What's the problem with my anxiety pin?
Dude,
Oh God!
no
Anxiety
shame.
pin this.
No
anxiety
shame, no
pin
shame.
that. Is this just
No
like
shame.
is this like the ultimate pivot for you? Oh, Dean disproved me.
Dude,
I
it's
gotta
no
talk about his
shame.
anxiety. You want to rip, bro?
Dude, I don't want to rip, bro. I don't want to rip with you.
God, yeah, because I was gonna say fuck that. No, you don't
Oh,
get a
yeah,
rip
you
in my
are.
anxiety pin, you weirdo.
I don't want to. Why would I want to rip with you, bro? I don't want to rip your anxiety pin.
What do you? Wow. Whoa. Okay.
All
Go
right,
ahead, Peter.
So, am I correct with your argument though? That's where your stance is.
I didn't even hear your argument. because
Okay,
you're-
essentially, I was saying that
because you're like going
you
between
formed-
making an argument and fucking saying that I'm on the schmeal and all this bullshit.
Bro, can you not like multitask? Like, can you not like switch from 2 things that quickly?
No,
It's-
I can't.
It's a small pivot.
No,
and
because
I
I'm
pivoted
locked
right
the
back.
fuck in.
Bro, I'm locked in, bro. I'm cooking you. All right, so your argument is you are forming an educated opinion based off of a handful of evidence pointing to Donald Trump's being guilty.
Yeah, we typically forms our opinions off of evidence. Yeah.
Exactly. You're not. Let me rephrase that. Not evidence. Speculation.
Speculation.
It's male DNA. How many
Speculation.
males are in the world? How many males?
Speculation is a belief in the
How many
lack
males
of
are in the
evidence.
world?
How many males are in the world?
Male DNA.
So many.
So many. Donald Trump's one male. It's
So
male DNA.
So
Here's the thing.
the only reason that the unknown male DNA in her dress is valuable is because he was provided an opportunity to have his DNA tested against the DNA in the dress, in which he declined. It on its own is not valuable, and the judge agreed. That is why the judge made her dress with the unknown male DNA on it after he failed and refused to provide his to the court as inadmissible evidence.
Okay, so back to your question: is if I was drunk, would I do the breathalyzer? No, obviously, but it's different because Donald Trump is on a way more uh, uh, famous level than you or I, correct?
So if you were famous and you got pulled
No, no,
over
no,
for
no,
drunk
no.
driving, would you do it?
Not famous. That's too broad for lack of a better term. Famous. He's on a more political. He's a political figure, right?
Wait,
And there's a lot of people that don't like him.
I'm a fucking political figure. There's a
Dude,
lot of people
you're
that don't
not a
like me.
political figure,
Should
bro.
I'm not? Go
I
tell New
don't.
York
I don't
Times
know,
that.
dog.
Go tell New York Times that.
That's pretty cool. Good for you. That's pretty
Go
cool.
tell
Actually.
MSNBC that. I have an appearance on their station in
Are you as
in
big of a
1
political
hour
figure?
and
Okay,
20
yeah.
minutes.
You're a TikTok political figure, but are you as big as a political figure as Donald Trump?
I'm bigger. Let's be real. I'm
Dean,
fucking joking.
I know you're joking because I actually have intuition. I don't take everything seriously. Because
Okay.
I like
he's
to
a
shoot.
big political
I
figure.
like to shoot the shit sometimes.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
He's a big political figure. Therefore, what?
Like I think you can agree that he's probably one of the most hated men in America.
Yeah, because he's an incredibly bad man.
Oh my god, he was here last time when you called me the smartest MAGA. He
Parker,
can
did I
confirm.
ever call this guy the smartest MAGA I've ever spoken
Chance,
to?
think of the $5. No, I called him the smartest MAGA ever.
Yeah, one of you guys did.
Yeah,
so
this guy?
No, it wasn't a joke. I
was
answered
definitely a
all
joke.
your gotchas. You cannot get me on anything geographical, literally anything.
Dean, it was. I promise.
No, it
was a
wasn't.
joke.
You're saying it now.
So, Dean, I just got banned.
Well, I was literally.
Bro, I
Wild
literally was
occurrences in
cooking
life.
Dean. You just interrupted me, bro.
Bro, dude, let's be real. You're an 18-year-old college student. The only thing that you can cook is like is
senior
fucking
years.
instant ramen. Let's be real.
Dean, have you seen yourself fucking cook,
Hey, bro, that's like low-key applicable to me, dude. I'm just kidding. I can do more than that.
Dean, I will cook you in literally
James,
anything.
think of the $5.
Including
Thank you.
political debates.
Okay, why
Peter,
don't you,
Peter.
Okay, if you're like just significant, if you're like a significantly better debater than I am, why don't you go start your own lives? You'd probably see a lot of success.
I don't have time for that, bro. I'm
Wait,
trying to
Peter,
go to
Peter.
college.
Peter,
What?
are we paid by the DNC?
I don't know. I don't know.
You don't
Maybe.
know? Do you think we have a real job?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. I'm just seeing.
I don't know. I don't think you're truthful with your
Oscar, thank you for the $11 and 11 cents on
that's a
Venmo to
real
Taco
job,
with the
I guess.
gas
I
and
don't know.
Gabby with the $5 and Donna with the 15. Thank you so much, Donna.
We're not truthful with what?
Sometimes I think you're dishonest, but I don't know.
How am I
guess you have a
dishonest?
real job. I don't know. I just think sometimes I think you guys are closed-minded and you guys don't come into like hear out the other side. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Okay. So, you just say that we're dishonest. You disagree with us, essentially, is what you're saying?
Chance, thank you for the $10 over on YouTube Super Chat.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys don't really. I think you guys come into. I think the point of a debate is to hear each other's side out. And I think you guys are closed-minded. Like you'll never change your beliefs. You'll never change your. Let's be honest. You're never going to change your beliefs.
Peter, I used to be a Trump supporter. I grew up in a Christian conservative household.
Yeah.
I've changed my beliefs plenty of times. When I first started TikToks, I was literally a communist.
Yeah, Parker, didn't?
Yeah, but this makes you
Parker,
bread.
was I or was I not like a libertarian?
Yeah, like
12
both of
months
us,
ago?
both of us have changed our minds. He literally was a libertarian, and me with other people have led to him being convinced of different types of views. If you give
Yeah.
him a good argument, he will literally say that that's a good argument. One of his first things that he literally changed on TikTok
I've given him
was
so many
literally he was like you were debating with pro-choicers, right?
Oh,
And you were debating them. You heard a really good pro-choice argument. You looked for the best way to be able to dispute it. You couldn't, and then you became a pro-choicer.
yeah.
Like that's exactly how open-minded we are. You're just saying because we haven't changed our mind right in front of you on a debate live because you have lesser knowledge than we do on this particular topic. Well, then it is the case that we're somehow like not like genuine or open-minded. That doesn't
No,
make
that's
any
not
sense.
why. I'm just saying. 'Cause
I think
you're making,
what
bro.
you're
Dean,
trying to say.
why do you never let me talk?
Yeah, to piss you off, obviously. Just to kind of like add on more to what Parker was saying. I don't know. Like when you say closed-minded, you just mean educated. Shout out Tessa in the chat and Nicole for the $5 on PayPal.
No,
and the
'cause this
reason I
makes you
say
bread.
that is because I can make so much more bread being just a brain dead grifter on the right. It'd be the easiest thing ever. But going back to what I was saying, I substantiate every single one of my beliefs with a lot of fact, a lot of reason, a lot of logic, and a lot of truth. So in order for one of my beliefs now to be overcame, it would be really fucking hard and really rare to happen because there just have to be more fact, more reason, more truth that I'm just unaware of. Okay? So it's very hard for me to change my mind now but that doesn't mean that it's not possible. But like at like
Yeah,
one point, you are going to reach like objectivity, like what you will believe at one point with enough reason, fact, and truth will be in alignment with reality, and any other competing beliefs are just outside of alignment with reality.
yeah, but you guys, when you were a Trump supporter, both of you, and this is an assumption. I'm pretty sure you didn't make any money being a Trump supporter, right?
No money when I was a
Exactly.
Trump supporter.
And you didn't do
Dude,
TikTok lives,
$5.
right?
Yeah, when I was
No,
a
'cause I was a
communist, I
kid.
didn't make any money being a communist. When I was a social democrat, originally, I didn't make money being a social democrat. I have only made money now that I've grown a platform. It has nothing to do with the views that I had, right?
Yeah. You know, I
didn't
actually
change my views for money. Like, that's ridiculous.
Oh boy, Dean's got a point coming in.
Well, I mean,
Here
just
we
like
go.
when I started doing my live streams, I was making all right money as a creative director of a couple e-commerce companies. Full stack development was kind of my shit. I was after 2 international awards for web dev. I mean, if this was about money, I probably would have never started it in the first place. Just because, you know, for like, I don't know, like the first 6 months, I didn't make a dime. How do you explain that, bud?
Nice, dude. Like what?
I mean,
Cool.
it just refutes that like I do this for money or I wouldn't have started.
No,
Because when I started,
I'm not saying
to
you
make
do
a
this for
dime.
money. I'm saying that I think you believe in what you're saying, but I'm saying if one day you don't, I think you would be dishonest and just to keep making money. Do you understand that?
You're saying that I just hold on to the same beliefs. No.
I think that you believe what you're saying, but I'm saying if there comes a time where it's disputed, like I think that you would still defend the Democratic Party.
I already don't do that. Like for instance, with the presence of debate and contention on Israel and Palestine, I've completely disavowed the Democrat Party and said fuck Israel. Let's support Palestine. Same thing with immigration. Like I mean, there's viewers in here right now that are probably like more prevalent in the viewership, like every day, like you know, like the more frequent viewers that have seen my beliefs on immigration grow beyond the Democrat Party. If you watch me talk about immigration on like the 1v20 Jubilee video, I'm just a total fucking suck up, libbed out for the Democrats. Okay? Like that's something that even like Hassan pointed out in his reaction to my Jubilee episode. A lot of people pointed out that I was just very aligned with the DNC on my takes on immigration on the Jubilee video like 5 months ago. But like now, 5 months later, my views on immigration transcend the Democrat Party. And anytime I talk about immigration, I usually end up finding a way to shit on the Democrat Party's views on immigration.
Yeah, but your whole brand is just going against Trump. Every point that I've given you, at least in today's debate, you just countered it with something about Donald Trump.
Maybe because there are a lot of things to be against Donald Trump on. That's maybe that's the reason.
There's really not though. Dean, we literally had a conversation. Remember?
Wait, what did we say that was where it was not legitimate to call out Donald Trump for?
And after this, I'm gonna hang up on you and get off. Just saying.
All right, bro. You're scared.
No, I have to fucking go research for my appearance on MSNBC. Shut up.
I will not be watching.
Okay, I don't fucking care. Go do something more productive with your time. Get a life.
Whoa, it's my sister's birthday.
Brady, thank you so much for the 200 NOK. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate some W's for Brady in the comment section. Don't worry, I really appreciate
What was your question, Parker? You asked something about evidence about Donald Trump or whatever?
I'm pretty sure I asked you, like, what about Donald Trump? I don't even remember anymore.
Okay, so the whole reason I joined this live for the second time is because the last time I was...
Oh, it was what about Donald Trump that we called out that was wrong to call out?
Yeah. So I'm on this live for a second time because last time we ended, like before I left, I said I'm going to read the court case about Donald Trump versus Ethan Carroll. I'm going to join back. Remember that, Dean?
Yeah, I'm just gonna kick you because I actually do gotta get off. Parker, do you have to go live from? I just got a text. It's like 55 minutes until I gotta hop on, so it's like pretty important that I go do that.
Yep, go study.
Yeah. Do you have a live that I could send everybody over to?
Everyone, Parker, get a job on TikTok and YouTube. I would recommend everyone who's on the YouTube live, go over to my YouTube stream. We're just going to carry over the same types of debates. I love y'all so much. I'm pretty sure I can't watch the reaction live.
Do you know why?
Because it's like TV. It's like all advertisement stuff like that. You can't do it live. You can do it replay after.
Is that like according to the TikTok TOS?
That's what I've heard. It's not TikTok TOS. It's YouTube and stuff.
Oh, on YouTube?
I wouldn't be concerned about TikTok as much.
Yeah, I mean, okay. All right, sounds good. Well, I'll send you over on a raid. And I appreciate you for joining.
All right, I'll see you.
Peace out. Everybody watching, head over to Parker's stream. I gotta get off here. So I'm showing up on MSNBC in an hour, like 6 p.m. By the way, that's crazy. That's gonna be my first like mainstream legacy media appearance, which is pretty nuts. I do seriously need to go research what I want to talk about. So they gave me like 4 like hyper niche subjects that they want my like opinion on to talk about, and I don't know anything about any of them. So I'm gonna go spend I have like 30 minutes to just like fully inform myself on all of the nuance, all of the intricacies of like these 4 hyper niche subjects. So I'm gonna go do that now. I love y'all. MSNBC, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'll be there. Somebody says, bad luck, Dean. I hope you embarrass yourself. Bro, come on. Dude, I feel like I got it. I feel like I got the whole public speaking thing down. But yeah. All right. Love you guys. Take care. Peace out. At Parker, get a job. Go rate him. For everybody watching on YouTube, love you all. Go show some love at Parker, get a job, even on YouTube. Have a good one, you guys. Peace and love. Bye-bye.